Call the Village Council work session meeting, October 29, 2020. It's 9:02 a.m. I show we have full quorum with Mr. Mark Leese online, and the only one we have absent at this time who may show up late is Andy. So before we get started, I'd like to have a motion to have Mr. Mark Leese participate via Zoom or whatever we call it.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Aye.
Thank you. Got a little delay over there. Presentations, we don't have any, I see.
You still have to adopt the agenda.
What's that?
You still need to adopt the agenda.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Need a motion to adopt the agenda. Do we have any changes?
We have changes.
additions?
We have additions.
All right.
Okay, so I need to do a new number 2 under items of discussion. It will be discussion and consideration of allowing facility rentals on holidays. That'll shift everything else down 1. A number 19, which will be discussion and consideration of correction for appointed terms for members of the Board of Adjustment. Number 20, discussion of ethics training webinar. Number 21, discussion of land use plan. And number 22, discussion of remote sign-in policy.
What was 21?
Discussion of land use plan. So you should have it right in front of you. Look at that piece of paper.
Oh, okay.
There you
did.
go.
Okay.
That's it.
I did not see
That's
this.
okay. That's okay.
Okay.
And then 22 is discussion of remote sign-in policy. And I know you have a hard stop at noon today, so we will do our very best to get through all this.
Okay. Any other changes? Bob, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay, Jamie? You're good? All right. All right, so I need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. First up, we have Village Hall.
Pass this room. Christina! Do I need it? I don't need it on the bed. Hadn't changed, has it? Do it. Yes, this is exciting.
Bob, you should have these attachments in your,
Where's the back? Where's the
oh,
front?
yeah, you're all right, right?
I'm checking myself every day. I get checked somewhere.
Christina!
There's actually copies that already made in Austin's office in the yellow folder that says give to Christina.
I thought that was
No,
for the
it's not.
Okay.
It's my fault. I didn't. print
Take it,
size.
give me that back, Joe. Give me that back, Jamie.
What,
No,
everything?
No, just the building. No, the building. Yep.
Thank you.
Oh wait, there's one. Hold on. Hang on. Here. Give me, Joe, give me that back in your hand. Your right hand. Jamie, give me that one that you have. There. Okay. Now take those.
Whenever you're passing around here.
Hey, Jamie. Do we have another one?
Yep.
Need one more. That goes to Andy down there. Jamie, do you have one now?
Yeah,
You Jamie beside me. You Jamie across the.
It looks very sweet.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
So the 2 handouts that were just passed out, the long sheet was actually the discussion that we had yesterday at our special meeting, that the conceptual site plan for the Fincher property, location of Village Hall. We had a really good discussion yesterday. There's some changes that Kance will discuss in terms of this site plan that you see here that will be further discussed. There's still some number crunching that has to be done on both parties. But in concept, this is kind of what he's looking at. With the, like I said, a couple of variations, smaller parking potentially, and greater buffers, and setbacks would be a little bit greater than what we see here. So if anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer what I can. We will continue to have meetings and continue this plan as needed, but we just wanted to bring y'all's attention. This is what we discussed yesterday. Any questions, comments, concerns on that?
I have have a question to ask, or kind of just inquire. Very end of the meeting, you know, as we were talking about buffers and talking about the amount of residences, and then Rohit had taken and made that kind of like a swap out sort of red marking where everything was being rotated. I just had a question because when we've been doing that, was the intention of taking the parking, which would be visible from the street, rear of this particular site? In other words, we had always talked about the parking not being seen and that the retail would, or whatever it might be, would be up in the front. And was that the reason for the, in other words, I remember on my notes here, we were moving the retail space that was over, you see to the left of all the other pink buildings. We were moving that more over to the left. We put in the specialty store.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, I think Kim, you had some put in there, or maybe Rohit. I just wanted to know.
I mean, that is one of the things that does get accomplished, but the main reason for that revision request is that we have this idea that existing residential could not be adjacent to new commercial. And so those houses should be in the back of the property and all the commercial should be in the front of the property so that existing residential is only adjacent, you know, as much as possible in a big, large lot like this it's possible. That existing residential is only adjacent to new residential. And that's part of the,
Okay.
yeah, and that's
All
part
right,
of,
thank you.
no problem.
I thought Kim had given a good suggestion about, you know, when I had that was like the earlier sketch, where it was kind of going to where you see the residences coming right off the street, the ones on the right, lights would maybe retail and then it would move to the back. And I was just trying to keep track of what, you know, was just being generally discussed. So thanks.
I sensed a little concern at the very end when you brought up what our land use plan will entail as far as the, you know, what's in front from George, I believe, that he was concerned that, it just appeared that way. So what they come back with, I'm not sure, but, you know, the only comment I would make is if we can get, you know, kind of a guesstimate, if you will, if we get the linear length of the road, of what it's gonna do to cut in from Newtown Road all the way over to Waxhaw Marvin Road, an estimate,
Yeah.
like, you know, I think we can do curb cut and from DOT to get our head wrapped around. Yes, it's gonna be an easy build, but that road is,
We'll
I
get
would
that.
imagine,
I bet that
something,
was.
so.
Joe, what did you say? You said you sensed hesitation at the end from
the
George
end,
about what?
Rohit brought up the issue of how the land use plan and where commercial buildings could be,
Yeah.
and they showed that map. And I sensed a little hesitation from George about how he's gonna make that work with this drawing.
Putting the larger retail spot in the front.
Yeah,
versus the back.
yeah, the ask that we were having, I like the idea of moving the, you know, obviously,
Yeah.
the townhomes back, any chance we can hide parking, that's a good thing. I mean, I think what you want, and as I drove by just this morning and saw the Crane property so close, which that property could potentially stay there, I mean, and they may not move that building, but you get a sense of, wow, it hits you, you know, right there, you're not seeing the parking, town hall's kind of tucked way back through a green village area, and turning these buildings, or to your point, Kim, earlier, moving this building or adding another small retail shop that, or office space, but putting this comes up here, parking, and all this comes in the back, and maybe a little bit here, maybe a little bit here.
I
We'll
mean,
see what it
I
comes
mean,
to.
yeah, I mean, I think that he can move some stuff around to make it work, because you could even put one of the smaller buildings on the back side, just at the front, and make sure you've got enough buffer zone there.
Yeah.
I'm not, I have complete confidence that they can come up with something that will work.
Well, yeah,
And that's kind of how I made it work too. I just said, move this kind of here, move this here, and then move these over here.
Or,
And that's
or just one of those.
yeah. Or I mean, not even have those. But we're talking about,
yeah, so you'd only have them on one side?
yeah.
Or would you move them all to the
I
back?
know, that's what I said.
Well, they could be on the side and the back, but it's more so important that the commercial is in the
Right.
front.
Yeah,
Well, and I think what George was saying with the entrance at Venetian Way, because that's coming from residential,
Right.
like he wanted some sort of like transition from residential into residential,
Mhm.
which is why he's
Right.
got them in the front instead of all in the back. Because you could easily, if you took all those residential units and just put them in the back, you could easily put that, you could put, that specialty spot here, you could put that here, and then you could have all the residential back here, and you could still have a little bit of parking. So I mean, you could easily move that stuff around.
Right.
If you didn't have that transition, but I think he kind of wanted that transition from residential to residential, but that doesn't mean that that's what the layout's gonna be able to be if our land use plan doesn't allow that. And I agree, I absolutely do not think that we need to have an inconsistency statement right out of the gate.
Right. This is gonna be in this land use plan right here, with the subzones, and of course, the land use plan is a plan, but if you approve something that's inconsistent, as you say, you have to provide.
why start off that way?
Right. I mean, if that's the case, then just don't have that residential, like, buffer zone that has to be there, and you can just have commercial / residential.
Right, well, the planning board thought that was very important to do. that.
I'm just saying, if, now that we have a plan,
Right.
like, we have an idea, that we may change that. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
that's what we
you
need to do, because I don't, I
Yeah.
wanna make sure that the residents that are behind there are happy.
Right,
And we can talk about this further, this concept in the land use plan discussion as well.
So I know it's early, but any initial pushback from the meeting yesterday, or have you heard anything next door? or- Okay.
The second handout I passed out is a conceptual, just a hand drawing mock-up that our architect has given us as his first stab. There's a couple changes that we want to make on the interior, which is on the back side. But other than that, I just really wanted to show you conceptually what we're working on. As you probably remember, Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor Polino are on this little subcommittee kind of thing that we have done to have meetings with the architect to come up with some of the design, and we'll report back to you all when we have those finalized.
Did you talk to them yesterday?
I did not.
Okay.
I will today if we have time. Anything that anyone sees that just kind of a red flag off the
Do you
gate?
want me to tell them what we had,
You can.
what I looked at yesterday? Do you have that marked up?
Yeah.
So I don't remember all of them. If you look at, the meeting room, I think the line to the right of it is gonna be like an accordion wall, because in the next spot over says open office. So I think that that's gonna be an accordion wall there, I think. But if it's closed off and this is an open office and somebody's having a meeting in there, then they're gonna have to walk through to get to all these other 4 office spaces. So I think we need to have another, yeah, thank you. I think we need to have another like reconfiguration there, to make sure that like they can utilize that spot if it's closed.
It almost looks like a reception area.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. That's why we need to get some clarification. And then I think the lobby's way too big. I think you can make that smaller and have like that small conference room as like a council, like meeting room, like, or a mayor's office or whatever. And I think that was really it. Just that right wing needs to be kind of reconfigured.
So, from an access standpoint, I know we talked about being able to go into closed session right in the middle of a meeting and being able to remove ourselves from the meeting room where everyone doesn't have to get out of the meeting room and move into is that way up on the top left are we looking at for that?
Or is it conference?
Yeah, I'm just asking because that can happen in meetings, and it'd be easier for just the council and staff to get up, move and rather than have everyone exit the room and then where are they gonna go?
Yeah, I think we had that as Christina's office, but that doesn't mean that you can't switch that around. I don't hate that idea of having that as a conference room, because I don't think you can use, if that accordion wall is closed, I don't think you can use that open office space there as a meeting room, because people will be able to hear.
No, but if we're gonna expand this right here,
Yeah,
we could potentially either make that my office or
yeah,
the conference. Either way you look at
Yeah.
it, it'll be easier.
yeah. So something along
But
those
just,
lines.
I mean, have it, we'll eventually have maybe 5 to 6 council members plus attorney, staff. It's gotta at least hold, let's
What's in
say
this
10,
room?
10 people, to be
Mhm.
fair.
Mhm.
But just keep that in mind as we're trying to
Okay.
fit these things in.
But I like it. I think it's a good first go at it. I like the front a lot.
So everything with a no is an office?
Yeah,
Okay,
or it could be other.
other, there's a lot of other rooms.
They're all filled.
I like the picture of the initial draft of
Me
what it
too.
looks like. I see that sitting in the back with the, you know,
With Joe, there's a lot of O's, but they're all filled. Like I went through and put, like marked off, like,
whose room?
just, not that that's who it would
Right,
be,
no,
but
I
just
understand. I
and
understand.
they're all full.
Okay,
There are two,
perfect.
storage future offices that are up at the top of the paper. That would be two, expansion offices.
Okay.
Conceptually, is everybody okay with what you see on the outside? Because if so,
Yes.
You're upside
I'll let
down.
Yes.
I'll let him, go ahead and get
I
his.
think it looks great. It looks really cool.
Me too. I'm excited.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and proceed with the architect on getting that actually done in, CAD system.
All
Any
right.
other questions, comments, concerns on Village Hall? We will have to push back the timeline just a little bit, and I'll update y'all later on that, but that will be, an item we'll discuss in the future.
All right. Next up, we have discussion of facility rentals for holidays. Is that there?
No,
No, that's,
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. First up is discussion and consideration of options to resolve flooding issue on the Marvin Loop Greenway.
So, for about a year now, we have had some flooding issues on the Greenway, and there's some pictures inside of your agenda packets. This has actually been brought to our attention by our park facilities manager, I forget your new title, and
just say Derek.
a couple of citizens that have.
I've seen it. It's terrible.
So this is obviously not something that we had planned for, but the cost is relatively expensive. We can take this out of our capital for greenways and trails, but it does impact, future funding for
Are
other
there,
segments.
but there are 2 quotes
There's 2 quotes for 2 different ways.
or 3 quotes? Where did I see 20,000?
Yeah, there was 20.
Yeah, it's right there, guys.
3 quotes.
Yeah, there's the first one, but I don't know who this is from. That looks like that's from Mike.
Derek, can you speak to the quotes, because I'm not familiar with exactly how y'all had discussed.
Yes, I wrote it, and I had a lot of dialogue with the engineers about possible solutions. We looked at everything we could think of, raising it up, lowering it down, pipes, drains. But what Mike came up with was what he says is really the only solution. Would you agree? Yeah, is tearing it up, raising it up. Is he putting pipes underneath it?
like 3 or 4 cross
Yeah, pipes underneath it and then repaving it. So he went and got some numbers. I went and got some numbers from Trail Builder just to have as a comparison. The Trail Builder was way much higher. I don't know if Mike's getting this through state contracts or whatever. But he's at like 20, I think, for everything out the door.
That's what Mike's at, right?
That's where Mike was.
But this guy's at 8 and this guy's at 88.
Dude.
I don't know. H&S paving looks to me to be 8,000.
That's a portion of what Mike is getting done.
Okay, so which portion of that is what Mike's getting done? The $8,000 or the $94.75?
Both of that, it's all of that.
So there's, Derek, there were a couple of options y'all talked about as far as, one was building a bridge and like going over it. One of them was regrading and putting more asphalt? What are the options and the choices for getting it repaired?
I'm sorry, I was looking at Joe's paper.
So y'all had
Oh.
discussed a few options of actually building like a deck and going over the down area.
Yeah, we looked at just, building a boardwalk above it. And the rough quote for that was like $40,000.
Jeez.
Okay, so the Mike quote of $20,000 looks to be 8,000 plus 9,000 roughly. Is some of that permitting or something that has to take place to, what is the 9,000 for?
Rohit, do you know?
I haven't looked at the quotes, sorry.
So we can get some more information from you guys, but at the end, because we're not gonna take action on this right now, but the reality of it is, do y'all want to pursue this?
It has to get
Further.
fixed. I mean, there's no, what's the point of having it if people can't use it?
So I'm confused with it. All they're gonna do is raise the elevation. Where's the water gonna go?
He's gonna
With
put
the pipes.
underneath it.
Just do pipes?
Mhm.
And they can't put pipes underneath it without ripping it out?
So
48 feet of 12-inch pipes under the stone to allow the flow of water.
So just, I've been by there many times because my wife runs that route and I ride a bike along with her and I go up ahead to see if there's water sitting there or not, to let her know. It's very dangerous because runners or walkers can't really get through, but even putting a pipe in there, I mean, depending what they do, is it stone or what the elevation, just using stone there. So we're going from a hard surface to stone right in that area?
No, they're gonna repave it. They're gonna raise it up with whatever they're gonna raise it up with, and then they're gonna repave it.
Okay.
Or we could have the option of reconsidering some type of deck,
The stone's just the base.
build-up area.
They're gonna repave it.
To go
It'll be-
Okay, so it'll stay a paved, a similar thing,
Yeah,
okay.
it'll be back to how it was. It'll just be slightly elevated with pipes underneath it.
I'm so glad you guys are joining our meeting, but whoever's not muted, can you guys mute? There's tons of feedback. Thank you.
Inspection will be 2,600 plus the 9475 plus 8,000 for a total of $20,075. That's from Mike Walden, our engineer.
That's for raising the asphalt, that's not for the bridge concept.
Correct. That's
The
Mike's.
only thing
So
about,
then what's the next, so then what's the 8,000 quote from H&S paving? Just to repave it?
It looks like those all go together.
Yeah,
They're all different components. One is for.
So is that the 8,000?
You got
Oh,
2,600,
okay. All right. That's,
9475, and then 8,000 for
I
a
got
grand
it.
total of 20,000 and
so these aren't three separate quotes. These are all the quotes for the total price.
correct.
Got it. All right. Sorry. That was-
We can get additional quotes if needed,
Good question.
but we just really wanted to see which direction council's interested in going.
I mean, I want to fix it, but I don't want to spend, we don't, it's not the budget.
$40,000 on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to spend $20,000 on it either, but,
And Powellville can't be used?
yeah.
No.
We can look at Powellville funding for it. The only problem is,
We don't have any money.
yeah, we've got some now. I'll have to look into it.
no, we always go back and, can we do a Powellville money?
Well, it's
I mean, that
considered roads and trails.
that bucket is gonna empty. You can't
Sometimes.
use it for everything.
I can
Why
look into it.
I would just say that I hate to spend more money on trails and greenways too, but this is one of our biggest
Yeah.
and most popular and
I agree.
prized
Used a lot.
amenities. I mean, who else, not many people can offer an asphalt greenway that touches so many of our residents. I mean, it stays packed.
Well, if you do the bridge, there's maintenance involved in that. You're gonna be maintenance, you're gonna be replacing those
Yeah.
boards,
All the
And that was
time.
the point Mike brought
Forever.
up.
and you're also gonna have just,
And then
So-
people jumping off.
my opinion is you do it the right way.
And then be done with it, quit trying to piecemeal it together.
Right.
Mhm.
So y'all want us to get some additional information on the 20,000? You're not interested in the bridge concept?
No,
Okay.
but I would like to see if 20,000 is the cheapest we can do this
Okay,
out.
so we'll bring this back for action at the November meeting with some more information and budget to more quotes.
I mean, again, I think we have to do it.
A lot of kids walk that way to school too.
Yeah.
Well, I would just want to make sure that when we did it, let's do it right the first time, so that we don't come back in 3 years ago. I wish we'd have raised it another 6 inches and then we would have had this problem.
Yeah.
Like,
Mike's been out there a ton the last 12, 16 months. I mean, he's shot that thing. He knows the water table, the levels.
okay,
I mean, you know, he knows stuff.
I mean, if it has to be a little overkill, I'm okay with that.
we shot 485 as well, and put it in 2 lanes.
So Derek, we'll get
That was
together.
brilliant.
Brilliant.
We'll get together and we'll add it on the work session or the regular meeting in November to get action taken.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just don't have faith in too many people.
You Governor McCrory.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Okay, we good?
We're good.
All right, moving on. Item number 2, discussion of facility rentals on holidays.
I just wanted to, I guess, get you guys' approval to open up the park if and when we get a request. Simply for the fact that it's COVID and a lot of people are looking for outdoor facilities. A lot of people aren't traveling as much, like myself, park staff. So it would be subjective to staff availability. But if we do get a barn rental request on the 4 holidays that were closed, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, do you guys have any objections to me opening the?
On those days,
I don't. Somebody wants to rent them.
Yeah.
on those days, on Christmas Day?
I mean,
But we have to have staff then.
well,
We do have to have staff.
Derek just said,
But our-
subject to staff availability.
Is this just during the pandemic or in
Yes.
perpetuity?
This is
Yeah,
just,
it's just this year.
Okay.
Oh, just this year?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, we can readdress it and see what 2021 looks like, but right now, I've been trying to,
Are we
Yes.
open Thanksgiving Day?
we are open Thanksgiving.
Really? Okay.
But I've just been trying to be as accommodating with people as possible during this, season of life that we're in. And
I mean, if we can get staff to open it up,
so it's
I'm fine.
it's a potential to recoup, 0.5% of revenue, maybe.
Yeah. In the opinion of one, I just think that those days, and I get the holidays, but there are plenty of days before and after the actual holiday that we've had those days closed for the park and stuff. It gives staff a break, we don't have to worry about that, but, we're in different times though, so I'm indifferent when it comes to, I just think the actual day itself, if it's set to be closed, just leave it at that, we don't have to change anything. It's not gonna affect much on the,
do we have anybody that's
Financial
requested it?
Yeah. I have one inquiry about December 24th. They, they're still looking, but I just thought before I needed to bring it to you guys first.
I don't have a problem with it, if you guys can find staff to open it up. Because again, it's 4 days this year, and then we can revisit it, so.
Jamie, you have any?
To me, I'd leave it up to the discretion that's Derek's department. And if he's got the staff and the means to do it, and if someone called me and said, well, they said they didn't have staff for it, I'm going, because it's a holiday.
Right.
If Derek said he doesn't have staff for it, there's nothing I can do for you. So, Derek's in that position to be able to manage that.
Okay. Bob?
That's my 2 cents worth.
Well, I guess you talked to the wrong person, because of being in the hospitality industry for many years, we were open
Everything's
up.
open.
So, as well as Christmas, so, I think we're here to serve the public. This is an interesting year, as long as it doesn't interfere with staffing and that's provided, we can publicize it that, we're making a special exception this year to accommodate families, so, I don't have a problem with it.
But then if we do like on a Christmas Eve, we open it up so public can go there and
No, just an event.
just an event,
Just an
so
event.
it's closed to the public, but the event is only available.
That's
But
what you're
can the
asking
public-
for, right? Just an
Yes.
event?
But the public, can they access and just do the trails? I mean, can they drive up and just do the trails if they wanted to take their dogs to the park and stuff? Are we just shutting it down for this particular, I'm just,
It's just facility rental only.
okay, all right. All right, well, I think we leave it to, I think what I'm hearing is we leave it, we need to take an action on it, or do we make a
No,
motion?
as long- if there's a consensus for, Derek to make the decisions, if staff is available, then we can just go with that.
Yeah, so it's, you gotta look at your staff, determine if it's available, and then if you can make it happen, then make it happen, so. Okay, moving on.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next up is discussion of OR-2020-10-06, an ordinance amending Chapter 74, traffic schedules establishing Schedule 2, turning movements to prohibit left turns from Newtown Road onto Marvin Road during certain peak hours.
And this item just coincides with what the discussions that we've had at the proposed third roundabout site to prevent some of the traffic issues that we're having there. Completely procedural. We'll put it on the consent agenda for the next meeting unless there's further questions, comments, concerns.
Can we make it till 7? I know there's no way to enforce it since we don't have law enforcement, but if it starts at 3:30, they don't get there till 4:30.
We haven't already decided.
We have not ordered this on.
DOT said that they're willing to do though.
This is, yeah,
So just to be clear, the officers are supposed to be there till 7?
No, 4:30 to 6:30.
Okay. All right, I
We
was
can-
gonna say, because I was there like 10 to 6 7, and there was no one there.
we can try. I know DOT's already moved forward with these hours,
Okay. I
but
mean,
we'll ask
if
them.
you can, 7, I feel like that just gets you
So-
through.
So there'll be clear information for those coming from South Carolina that no left turn, that we're spending the money on the signs, or they're doing the signs, or what's
We're doing
happening?
the one sign.
Just one sign?
One sign.
And they're okay with that?
Yes.
I mean, for most of the time, the officers are gonna be there, so when they slow down, they're just gonna be like,
Yeah, you
like,
can't,
you
no
just
left turn,
move
right,
on,
yeah.
like, you cannot, like, you gotta
People will
go.
figure it out to do the.
They'll go down, they'll come around, and then they'll
Yeah.
turn right.
I'm okay with that. And you know what? That's gonna help a bit, quite a bit, I
It
think.
will.
I think you'll still see the backup of, that we see right now. So,
Yep. It will.
FYI, I'm gonna make a council comment. We're just listening at this. I wanted to bring it back up regarding Village Hall.
Okay.
So, with what's happening right now, because I'm thinking what's about to happen is what happened in Charlotte, is lights out, generator for the Village Hall.
I like a spot for it.
Nothing
So,
like the
we'll
meeting
try
at
for
Hurricane.
7.
Hurricane.
We'll try for 7 PM if it doesn't work. If
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
work,
if it doesn't, I just think 7 kind of gets you through, but if it doesn't, then I'm
Okay.
fine with 6:30.
Well, it'll be on the consent agenda unless anybody has any problems with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine with that. You good with that, Bob?
Great. Thanks, Bob.
Yes,
All right, moving on. Thank you, Christina. Moving on, item number 4, discussion of Weddington Chase requests.
So over the last several days or week or two, we've had a lot of discussion about Weddington Chase. There's an email that's inside of your agenda packets where they're requesting just an array of different things to help with traffic mitigation primarily. They feel like they've had a lot of traffic, what they claim due to the new development that's taking place at Marvin Gardens. They have had some discussions amongst their own HOA about putting gates back up. And,
Not back up, just up.
I'm sorry. Putting gates up, and that is, number 1, against our ordinance, but number 2, I wanted to get some information or some feedback from council as to if there is a desire to allow that, based on the fact that we just recently spent about $180,000 on, on resurfacing their roads a few years back. Marvin actually put in $168,543 to resurface those roads. That is an area that I've discussed with their board, or the person that's making the, request to put the gates up. So, when
Is
do
it
you,
a request to put the gates up or just an inquiry?
well, it's just an inquiry, I'm sorry, I should
Okay.
clarify that, yes.
Okay, because I
They're
thought,
looking at options.
yeah,
So that's kind of where we are. They're looking at gates. They want to know if it's possible. They're also looking at speed humps, speed tables. They're looking at cameras, increased law enforcement, additional signage. Any other ideas? Anyone
I mean,
has?
here's my thing. Until they come to us with a formal request, I think they can ask the questions and find out what the procedure is. But until they like get some sort of consensus from their homeowners, like, I mean, I don't think that we have I don't think that I think this is involving us in their process way early. I mean, honestly, like, I'm fine with gates, like, then you have to maintain your roads, that's fine. I'm not saying that I would necessarily approve it or not approve it, but I think that I think we're just being involved in the process very, very early. And until they come to us with a formal request, I don't really have much to say.
but in fairness, Coffee with Council, we had a couple representatives, residents and one HOA
What HOA?
member show up at Coffee with Council. And for them, and to be fair, those listening in, it was more of a fact-finding mission from them. And I agree with you, Kim, that the residents need to speak on this, but however, when I asked the president of the HOA, can you do this? And they looked into their own I guess, governance, and they said the board can take action on something like this without the residents' approval. So if we step back a minute, that's fine, the board can do that, but I think it goes back to what our ordinance is right now.
Right.
And it is, we do not allow gates. We have grandfathered gates in the neighborhood, that there are some neighborhoods that have gates, but they are in the understanding that they are going to be taking their roads. There's issues with what we've spent already with Powellville, and we're improving the roads, but right now we have an ordinance and no gates. Now, whether we take up the issue of, do we want to allow gates, that's a different
I
subject.
agree.
We haven't gotten there yet, it hasn't come up to us, but if a board is able to do that, just with the strike of a pen, and they can have that done, then we're making I don't even know, what would it have to go through for us to approve that, a variance, or?
We would have to do a text amendment. They would have to petition to do a text amendment. It costs $300 to do a text amendment. That would be the formal process
Okay,
to allow gates.
okay.
I don't know the exact answer to this, but going through it, my understanding, because I went through the entire process from cradle to grave, and I wish my attorney, our attorney, would have said in the beginning, goes, and my question back to whoever's running this, what was that property when they started, and they said, we're gonna create this thing called Weddington Chase, what was it designated as? A private community or a public community? Because if it's public, if it's non-gated, I don't care what they do. If they have 100 residents and one says, I don't want it, it ain't happening. That came from our attorney, and said, well, why didn't you tell me that 3 months ago when we had the entire community in an uproar? He goes, well, I thought everyone knew that. Well, we didn't. But according to him, the original plat for XYZ community, neighborhood, if it was put into the county as a non-gated community, and again, I'm not saying this is for certain, but my understanding is, having gone through it, that if it's put in, if the original plat was put in as a non-gated community or a public community, not a private, that you have to have 100% of the people to agree to not having having a gate.
So I will step in here and just let you know and give you a little update of what's happening. I was, and what Jamie, Councilman Lee is talking about is at Firethorn, we asked to put in gates, and it comes down to, in your deed, individual deed, everybody signed off, it was gonna be a public road. That's where the 100% came in. However, we went through this about 2-3 years ago, just because there were a few homes in Providence Downs, things. So they have, my understanding is they're talking to the same attorney. Whatever they did, somehow they were able to get past it because the majority of the community, majority, not all, was able to say, and they went to the county and they went through all the processes. We had 70 people show up from the neighborhood and all about to say the same thing, but somehow there was a workaround legally and they had it done. So it can be done, that you don't need 100%. That's why, and that's happened because they put the gates up on both sides. So that's what, they're experiencing the issue. I will say, and just for comment, gates don't solve the problem, because eventually you have landscapers, have the code, friends, your neighbor, you get friends that are coming to pick up your kids or whatever, they get the code is shared. The next level is video cameras, the next level is
Putting in a guard.
officers. And, you can get, but if that, the average criminal will go in an ungated community, I agree, but the more barriers you're poured up, the more cost. But it is a false sense of security, because if I'm a real crook and I want to get to your house or something, I'm going to figure out a way to get in there. But I think what they're experiencing and the reason for this is there's a lot of construction there right now, and there's a lot of cut through. That's going to go away when that whole intersection gets improved, and putting gates. I can see things like, and we don't know about the policy about slowing people down, as speed humps, all those things, we talked about that. So just to be clear to the residents that are online right now, and I know there's a few of you there, they came to coffee with council, was it Tuesday night?
Yeah.
And it was more of a fact-finding mission. There's nothing really that, and I'm saying is, we don't have it as an ordinance, and if we have to go through special, I'm not interested in doing that. I'd be more interested in taking up the issue of, will we allow gates, and what is the process to get gates?
I agree with that. We don't even have a formal request. I think we've spent I think we've spent plenty of time talking about it. Until we have a request, there's nothing for us, there's no decision for us to make.
But it's fact finding, and it's good to know where the council stands on this, but we do have an ordinance. The ordinance says it's not allowed, and that's where it's at right now. So it could be, just so you know, it could be the HOA board members just saying, you know what, we've looked at everything and we're just gonna go forward with this. And then what happens? It comes to us, you're saying there's a process.
If, at that point, then we can have a discussion, but until then, we don't
That's
have
fair.
a request.
So there's a couple of things in this email that they're not formal requests, they're just wanting y'all's thoughts on them. So what I can do is just respond back that if they want to proceed with the gates, they submit a text amendment from the HOA board, and I can direct them to Rohit. But if they have other requests, such as cameras, speed humps, that sort of thing, they can make that formally as a representative of the entire HOA board.
And we have a policy in place, correct?
We do.
For all of that, speed humps.
Yes.
Yes, that's in our traffic.
And just also, is it clear now we have changed the speed limit? That's official in all of Marvin residents. Did we do an amendment that everything is now 25 miles an hour?
Of roads that we have.
Right.
So any road that we own, I thought there was a whole list of roads.
Yeah, Weddington Chase was already 25 though, but we did add all the roads that we recently took over.
Okay.
And we just ordered signs last week, so if Weddington Chase doesn't have speed limit signs now, they will in the next month or two.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they do, but.
They do.
Okay.
And for those listening, we'd love representation from that side of town. So if anyone's interested in running for office next year, and the planning starts in early June when you have to register, but next year we're adding a seat to the council, and we'd love to see someone from that side of town, because it tends to be all over on this side, but it is what it is. We'd love to see you guys step up, volunteer, and become a council member or petition for that. So All right, is that all we have on that subject? Okay. Anything else? Any other comments, Bob?
No, I agree with what is being said.
Okay.
No.
All right, so moving on from that, next up we have discussion of Wyndham Hall Roads request.
So over the last couple of meetings, we've talked about Wyndham Hall. They want to put in some four-way stops. DOT is not going to allow it. Went back to them about some speed humps, and they actually submitted some information back to their HOA president. Mayor Pro Tem had asked me to look at the averages of the subdivision roads that are in the state system, and I've provided that breakdown. And these are the entire averages. So for instance, Innisbrook, the entire average is 96.27. Marvin Creek is 94, so forth and so on, if you look at the table that's in your agenda packets. Not really sure council's direction in which they want to proceed with this request, but Wyndham Hall is basically looking at us to go ahead and accept their roads so that they can put in some traffic calming devices as they desire, because DOT is not allowing them to do so.
What is Wyndham Hall's?
Wyndham Hall
Is that cut
is
off? Oh wait, hold on, is it at the bottom now? Oh, there it is, okay.
90.
I mean, listen, I wanna help this neighborhood if they have, safety issues with people speeding and running stop signs or whatever the situation is. But the options that I'm hearing that they want, DOT's not gonna allow them to do it. We can't just put in we can't throw up stop signs because they're not our roads. So I've made the suggestion that, if they wanna get their roads up to, whatever our minimums are, then we can look at bringing them in. But that wasn't received well, so I wanna help them, and, I know that, speed humps are allowed, so that would be a way to do it. But, they're gonna have to pay for those, to do that, so, I guess at this point, they're gonna have to do speed humps, or they're gonna have to get the roads up to snuff, for us to do it. I know staff has spent an exorbitant amount of time trying to come up with some solutions, and I'm willing to work with any neighborhood, if they have safety issues. I just think the options that they're requesting from DOT, we can't make DOT do it. We can't do it because they're not our roads. And, some of the options that we've thrown out there don't seem to be agreeable to them. So, I kind of feel like I'm not sure where to go to help them at this point. I'm willing to help them and I want to. I just don't know what to do.
And to piggyback off of what you said, there is an email in your agenda packets from DOT where they said they've allowed speed tables. That would be an encroachment agreement similar to what Firethorn did, years ago in their neighborhood.
So, I'm just trying to think out loud here. I'm thinking that, okay, if we didn't do anything permanent, but we did something temporary, meaning they're temporary stop signs that you could roll out and put on those corners, and is DOT gonna get, because it's not permanent, but it's a fix until we get those roads turned over, and it's almost and I don't know if it can be done or not, or if DOT's, because DOT gets excited when we're doing something permanent. If we did a temporary stop sign on a concrete base, and it's sitting there, and we're asking and you see it, people are gonna stop, right? Because it's a stop sign. And it's something that it's like a quick fix, a short fix, until we get those roads taken over. Is DOT gonna
We can
come in and get all bent out of shape? It's not permanent, this is a temporary community thing that we're trying to get people, and it's just a suggestion. I have no idea if it's legal or not.
We can inquire about that. Another option that we can look into is temporary speed humps, where they're just kind of removable. We can put them down for a little while and then move them to another neighborhood that has similar requests or similar issues.
They do make those, and they're heavy duty, big, rubber mats that,
Yeah.
basically they can move them, but it takes a company to do that. But I'm just thinking on the terms of something that's not permanent yet, because we don't own the roads, but if we rolled out, it's what, and here's an example. Tell me the difference of if I had a road that's owned by the state, and I put out my little sign that's yellow that says, "Slow down, children at play." Okay, so it's just an awareness that, oh, there's kids in this area. I'm gonna slow down. Do people do it? Maybe, maybe not. But if they see those signs there, they're just temporary. And I'm asking, from a community standpoint, if that's what we could bring into that and look into the cost, and then maybe we can move those once we take that neighborhood over and move them, or have them in storage to be used in these kind of circumstances.
And I mean, we can always look into getting the speed humps as well. Have they requested to have any of the deputies sit there and?
They have not, and we typically have not done special requests like that.
We have in the past.
Okay,
I know for sure Ed used to do it
okay.
a lot.
Oh, yeah, Ed would always bring the little meter, how fast you're going and all that kind of
And
stuff.
then
So
he'd sit there.
again, it's, probably
I
cost
mean, I think we can.
maybe under
do that.
$1,000 to get 4 stop signs or something. I don't know what the cost is, but if,
We'll look at different options.
You
and
say
we'll bring it back.
100,000?
no, $1,000 or something. I'm just saying, but it's
Just take that out of Powell.
Oh, look at Cowbell to pay for it.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd have them request the deputies sit there
Okay.
and pull them whenever they, feel like people are hiding through there. I mean, anything that we can do to help them, I'm willing to do, but, I mean,
They have to understand it's not ours to do it to.
Correct.
It's like
We'll get
impeding us
some
on
more, we'll get more
phone.
information and I'll communicate with the HOA board,
Okay,
or president, I'm sorry.
thank you.
All right. Let's see, next up I have update on roundabout lighting. That was an update?
Goody, no.
There is an update since the last one.
I'll take this,
Yeah.
So we met with Union Power and also DOT in separate meetings, and this is a requirement, this survey that they have been discussing is a requirement. We've tried to do what we can to alleviate it, it's just not gonna happen. So what we're doing right now is working with DOT on the exact specs of what is needed for this survey, to see if we can do it in-house or with our engineer. The quote that Union Power gave us was $8,500, which we thought was asinine.
Ridiculous.
And so we're gonna try to get that done in-house once we get some more information on the specs that are needed.
I know that you and I had talked about grabbing some, like the lights that we have on the corner here when the officers are here in the wintertime to light up the corner. I know we had talked about possibly doing that, and you had said, oh no, we have to get an encroachment agreement to do it. Do we not own 2 pieces of property right there by the roundabout, so we can throw them up on our own property and do it?
We do, but they had some discussion about if you illuminate any portion of our roads or a certain portion of it, we have to be involved in it. So we could obviously try it and ask them about it, but that's kind of the discussion that we had last.
I mean, it's our
week.
property. We wanna light up our own property and it happens to spill over into
We
the,
would be violating our own light ordinance.
so we're violating it down here and that's okay?
Well, don't we have an encroachment agreement for that?
We do.
Yeah.
But how are we okay here if it's an encroachment agreement? That has nothing to do with our ordinance, does it?
Well, they allow us to encroach and
She's asking how we're violating our own ordinance. If,
We're doing it down here, we're violating our own ordinance. I'm not worried about the encroachment agreement.
there are certain like statutes, state statutes that, when it comes to DOT roads, like municipal ordinances.
Yeah, trying to light up the road, I'm trying to light up
Yeah,
our property down there.
That's a different story because you're kind of doing this illegally by, illuminating their property without their permission. But in this case, when you have an encroachment agreement, there's a state statute that says municipal ordinances are, like overridden.
I will look into lighting our own property to the extent that we can without.
This is so ridiculous.
I know.
We're trying to have some safety measures
Yeah.
put in for people who are driving in these roundabouts because they clearly still don't understand how to do it. And the fact that we can't get some lights out there is absolutely ridiculous. Who are we talking to about this?
Talking to Travis from the.
Travis, he's their head guy.
Great. I would like to set up a call with Travis and be on that next week. And if anybody would like to join me, I welcome that, because this is getting absolutely ridiculous.
So what was the direction there?
Conference call.
If anybody cares, does anybody care if
I'll
I get on the
join.
phone?
No, I'll join.
Yeah, we can only have one other join, but that's, if you
Jamie,
guys
wanna
want to
be on that call?
volunteer.
And then in the meantime, we'll also look at illuminating our own site to the maximum that we can. We actually, just got quote, I actually just had Derek get quotes for us purchasing one of the lights. I think he got a quote for about $4,000.
I mean, shoot, we can get two of those for the cost of the,
Austin.
Yeah.
for the cost of the survey.
I know.
So, we'll get some more information on that. We'll get the conference call scheduled.
Great, thank you. I mean, this has gotta be resolved. Rohit, you requested this a year ago,
I think like a year and a half ago.
and now we're just finding out 2 months ago about a survey that's needed?
Mhm.
This is ridiculous.
I've been following up with it.
I know you have.
Every
This
few
is
weeks.
not on you, this is on them. And if they can't help us, then they need to find somebody that can. And we'll have that conversation
Okay.
next week.
It's called bureaucracy.
Do what?
All right.
It's called bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Are we good on that one then? Moving
Yeah.
on? All right. Next up, discussion and consider adoption of 2021 Village Council meeting schedule. So I assume this, whatever we decide, it'll go on the consent agenda, because that's the goal for
Or you
the
can
meeting.
just adopt this now. It's up to you
Because
guys.
Andy's not here, so
Oh
we can,
yeah, that's a good point.
All of the work session times are wrong. They need to be 9 AM, not 10 AM.
Oh, I don't know why they're that way. I apologize. That's weird.
so
You fix that.
I think we can go through this, and if you want to get up with Andy at some point and make sure that there are no changes on his part, then I'm okay then putting this on the consent agenda for, the next coming meeting and if Andy has to change, he can bring it up he can pull it from the consent. And, if you guys are okay with that, just so we can get this checked off, because we need this before the beginning of the year. We do have 2 more meetings, but I'd rather have it on the consent agenda and everyone's good with it.
Me too. So I'm fine minus the times. The June 8th and June 10th,
What do you mean June 10th?
August 10th.
Okay.
I am not gonna be. I'm not gonna be in town. So if we can still participate remotely, then I'll be good. Otherwise, I won't be in town. So if you guys wanna move them, awesome. If you don't, and we set up remote participation, great. It's up to you.
You still have that option with the policy that we have.
Okay,
Hold on one
forever.
second.
Okay, well then I'm fine with them.
So I will fix the times. I'm honestly not sure how that happened, but I will fix the times and I will call, if Andy is not here today, I will call him and get his input and then consent agenda.
So, hold on one second here as I'm looking. The only conflict I have is most likely June 25th meeting. Or 24th meeting. And that is a work session, so it's not, you guys are free to have it, whether I'll be back in time for that or not, as, I have it as a question mark. I don't think I will, though.
Do you want us to move it?
No, it's up to you guys. It's a work session, so. I'm just letting you know
Would
how
you be
that's
around
gonna
to
be.
call in? Or are you gonna be like,
Probably not.
not available, not available?
Not available. no.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, it's not.
and that whole week is not, good for me.
Okay.
And let's see something real quick.
It'd be hard to move it to the 17th the week before, because we would have just had the
Right.
meeting
So
on the 8th.
just go ahead and have it. If I can, it says the 24th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just out of pocket for that thing, so I'd say keep it, guys, because it's just one, and I don't know if it's gonna make or break a big difference in June or not, but, you know, I wouldn't hold it up just for me, so. Less Andy and a couple others, but, and that's the only thing I foresee for all of these.
Okay.
So I'd say keep it as it is,
Okay.
if you guys are okay with that. You don't need, the meeting goes faster anyway.
That's true. Never mind, we're good. Let's just move on. Check with Andy, if
All
he's
right,
good,
so-
stick it on the
So other than
consent
moving these, all the work sessions to 9 AM,
Yep.
I got it written down.
everything's good? Okay,
Mhm.
moving on.
Hold on,
Bob, you
hold
have
on.
anything?
Can we move the council retreat on that Friday to 9 AM instead of 10?
Yeah, same thing. I changed it on there.
Okay. Bob, you good?
So we're still planning a 2-day retreat?
The second day's a backup,
Carryover.
just in case you guys go
Okay,
over.
it's listed in there and we could always cancel
Like
it.
you guys, didn't need one this
Doesn't it
year.
say that?
It does say it on there. At least I thought it did.
Carryover day.
Yep.
Are y'all interested in
I-
having a facilitator like we did last year? or-
No,
Okay.
Really?
no. We did it, we did it. I don't think we're gonna get anything
Okay.
like, I mean, I'd say 10 of 1.
It's fine with me, it just makes they just kind of just sit back and, you know, there's less planning from staff and we've got to put an agenda together and all that stuff, and that's
So
fine.
We still have to
We've
put the
done it.
agenda together.
Right.
And we have to pay them.
Yeah, and keep us on time too.
I'll keep you on time too. Christina's gonna run it, so it doesn't really matter.
Perfect.
You're not.
I'll just do comments.
No comment from you.
All right, so we're good there?
Bob, you said you were good, right, buddy? Okay,
I'm good.
All
okay.
right, moving on. A discussion, consider adoption of 2021 holiday schedule.
Okay, this is the state schedule of holidays. You guys usually just adopt this every year. Let me know if you want to make any changes, want to differ at all. We're good to go.
What was the Festivus Day? Do we don't have that?
Festivus for the rest of us. I mean, I'm fine with it. If this is what the state puts out, I'm fine with it. I would just put it on the consent agenda if anybody has any issues.
Say, it is what it is. I'm good with it. Any other comments?
I'm good.
All right, put that on the consent agenda. I think we'll have that. That's okay with no objection. Moving on, number 9, items of discussion of OR 2020-10-07, an ordinance establishing Chapter 131, road infrastructure, and to authorize the village to seek repayments for damages to road infrastructure.
What is
Help
this
me out,
about?
help me out,
Rohit?
Rohit. Help me.
I presented this in a memo a few meetings ago. It's basically an ordinance that, well, now that we're
Oh,
taking,
yeah, like if they drag and.
yeah, now that we have taken a lot of roads in our maintenance, we should have an ordinance that allows us to legally seek damages from people who, in any way, damage our road. And Chaplain's looked at this, and his revisions are incorporated in the ordinance in the memo. So it's basically it's just a way to, if we find someone that damages the road, we can charge them for damages.
I mean, if we need one and Chaplain's good with the verbiage,
Yeah.
then I'm good to put that on the consent
And
agenda.
I will give a quick example of a concrete truck that went into a roundabout, realized it wasn't a pass-through, and they made a turn and concrete spilled out on the road and stuff, and we had to go back and find a company to come and clean that up and
On
stuff.
our roundabout?
On one of our roundabouts in Marvin. Not roundabouts, I'm sorry, cul-de-sacs.
Oh,
It was done
I was like-
and it was at a cul-de-sac, I think in Marvin, happened a couple of years ago.
Oh.
And, again, it became a cost to us, but if we're able to find out I think there was an issue of even finding out which company did it, but it was when I think the preserve was being built, if I'm not mistaken, so.
Okay,
Um,
I'm good with it, I think we just put it on the consent agenda.
Yeah. Bob, any comments?
No, sir.
All right, Amy, I assume you're good?
Good.
And you said Chaplin did look at
Yeah,
it?
Chaplin's revisions are already incorporated in the ordinance you see in the packet.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have number 10, consider adoption of proclamation 2020-10-01 to honor life and legacy of Mayor Nick Dispenzier.
So you guys have seen this before. It's, you know, you guys have made revisions. If you so pass this and we can get you to sign it, Mr. Mayor, I can deliver this to Karen.
Was she not gonna come to the meeting?
She's coming to the next one to accept the plaque, but
Okay.
but the day would be before the meeting, so
Okay.
I would go and deliver this to them and we'd publicize this beforehand.
My only change that I would make, I mean, this is a bad assumption, but I'm gonna assume it, that his legal name is Nicholas. And I think you should have that at the top, and then you can go through and, you know, just say Nick after that. But at the top, it needs to be Mayor Nicholas Dispenzier.
Well,
I mean, confirm with his
Yeah,
wife
confirm.
what he wants, but, because he was always known as Nick.
mhm.
But I mean, I think that at the top, and then you refer to,
Do we remember how he signed his name? I mean, that's part, yeah, I see your point, but,
just at the top to be a little more formal.
yeah.
I mean, it says Nick on the plaque.
Oh, you've already got
The plaques have been done for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, but that's because it's Nick Dispenzier Day, right? And then I think you do, like, put at the top, like for the proclamation,
just the title. is
what's
what's
the title? Right here, this is one word, right there.
Okay, I'll need to confirm with her, but you guys need to pass it
Why
so it
don't
can
you
go
look
into
at
effect.
his employment records and see what his legal name is?
We can do that. She's just talking about on the proclamation itself.
I know, but not everybody has necessarily legal name is Nicholas.
That's why I said, look on his
If
employment
it
paperwork.
is.
Let me go check.
We don't have to
Right
do, we don't
now.
have to do it now. We can just make it, we can approve this contingent upon verifying his actual name for the title.
Okay, we all good with this? All right, thank you. So she'll be here for the next meeting, so, I assume. Austin, she'll be here for November 6th
Yes.
meeting.
November 10th meeting.
10th meeting, sorry. All right, next up, we have discussion of copy of council preparation and expenses.
Okay, so briefly,
In a nutshell, I'll put this. Do y'all want us to continue having food at the Popular Council? If so, just letting y'all know that we probably need to go up on our food budget just a hair. It's not much. $30 every time.
I mean, people had the,
There were at least
Coffee.
3 or 4 people at coffee.
yeah.
It was
In the evening.
crazy, in the evening,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was
So
crazy in my
I think
view.
yes.
But the donuts usually don't get eaten and stuff, maybe
Maybe just have coffee.
maybe
in the evening and-
maybe a healthier snack type thing that comes in a package that lasts longer. I know that I put them in my kids' lunches all the time. We have them out in a basket. Maybe that's because no one's eating donuts.
I think
Just do
donuts,
kind bars.
yeah.
Kind bars, exactly.
I think,
Something like that.
donuts in the morning
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
coffee, but just coffee in the evening and then get some
And-
granola bars or
Is
whatever.
anyone in for a healthier donut, if there is such a thing? Like
there,
instead of
I
all
don't think there's such thing as a
Well, I'm
healthy
saying
donut.
it, all the chocolates and filled and all that, I mean, it's, in fairness, it's, nobody eats those. They look at them and it's like, I think people are embarrassed to take one. We all want to take one. No
Yeah,
one
they
does.
said that. They explicitly said that, like, oh, no, I shouldn't.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I'm saying just like something simple, if we do it, just a glaze.
I think you should do Mountain Dews and Little Debbie cakes.
We have Twinkies?
Twinkies,
Yeah.
Ho-Hos.
You get a free health screening after that.
But, I just think that kind of thing, just a healthier snack or something would be so much
Yeah, that would
better.
probably, I mean, donuts are half the cost.
Well, Christina, what would be the difference of Grey Goose vodka, some cocktail,
Yes, Bob,
I
yes.
am in. I'm in.
Yes. I need some, wine though.
I'm only
Yeah.
gonna get it if you allow me to
You whine enough, don't you?
We'll get
All
some,
the
we'll
time.
get some healthier
You have no
options
idea.
and just, y'all may
That's
see a
fine.
future budget amendment, not a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
okay.
huge.
And if it gets too much, just
Yeah.
pile it up.
But
Yeah, pay for the capital funds.
before we move on, let me ask one quick
I
question.
think my 2 cents that I'm saying about this is I think of when before all this COVID stuff, but I mean, as far as I thought it was a nice touch with the coffee and the donuts in the morning time, but in the evening time, it was like, I just didn't see anybody bother.
I think everybody that was here on Tuesday night had coffee except Joe and I.
Just so you know.
You
Yeah,
did?
so
I had
it was a
coffee.
crazy,
There were 5 people here, they all had coffee.
Yep.
I mean, having a jug of tea or a lemonade in the fridge
Yeah.
What about
is an
Yeah.
option. Probably not, because that lasts a long time. I mean.
Wine's good too.
Before we move on, I need to make sure, you guys did not make a motion on that proclamation. And if it's not passed today, it won't be issued before the day.
Okay. So sorry, I missed that. So backing up to the last agenda item for the proclamation, I need a motion to approve the proclamation as presented after we check the records for.
As amended.
As amended. So I'll need a motion for that.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we're back on to number 11, the expenses. Let's keep it simple, but just, I'd say, cut more healthy, kind bars to James' point.
So healthier options all the time or just the evening?
Have some for morning and,
Okay.
I mean, buy some kind bars, put them in a basket.
They last forever.
They'll be fine. Somebody will eat them at some point.
Hey, this is probably the wrong time to do this, but I don't want to lose sight of it. In light of Coffee with Council and having the public involved, and I know we went over this, the village council meeting schedule. Can we not lose sight of having a spring town hall meeting?
Yes. We can add that to, we'll look at,
So let's plan on pulling that, just so we don't have to go back. We'll plan on pulling it from the agenda
Just-
and add that into,
November's agenda.
A-
I mean,
it's a
because we don't
great
have any
point.
more work
Yep,
sessions.
right.
So just put it on the November meeting and we'll pick a date and have it set up.
pick a date there, pull it from the agenda, approve. Does that make sense?
So are you pulling the full schedule or are you just picking a date for a special meeting in the future?
No, we're gonna pull this thing like we said we were gonna do because we're gonna leave it there. We were, unless Andy had a change
Mhm.
with you. But let's
Don't
just
put it
plan
on the
on,
consent agenda.
put it on the consent agenda, or just put it on the meeting.
Just put it on the meeting.
Just
we'll
put it
talk
on the
about
meeting, forget about the consent
Okay.
agenda at this point.
And then you can do like a little asterisk that we
But
need
that's
to
a
pick
good,
a
good
town hall
catch,
day.
Jamie, thank you for that, so we don't have to go back to that.
Is that good?
So we're good with expenses, right? And it's a minor change, correct? And I'm okay with that. You know what? Hey, I was encouraged by the last one we had. We had 3 people here, then 2 more showed up. And, so I think and thank you, Rohit, I had you here till 7:30, but, we were all.
I stayed
it was
till like
good.
7:20.
You did.
I way in the future, I see Coffee with Council at New Village Hall that you'll have
15 people.
quadruple the amount of
20 people.
attendance. Because it's something, there's an alternative.
The key is a dialogue back and forth. The problem is, there's only 2 representatives from things, nothing gets done, but you have dialogue, because in our meetings, you can't have dialogue unless
Well-
the issue's on the agenda, and then you invite that group in that has the issue, and you have the
Well,
dialogue.
maybe at New Town Hall, you have 2 council members in this room and 2 council members in this room, and if we start having large
Yeah,
crowds,
yeah.
I think we can do something like that.
Absolutely, but again, you can't lose sight of all the transparency
Yep,
that we're trying to do, and it goes back to the special meeting, the town hall
I agree.
meeting, and Coffee with Council. And you know what, I gotta think in the new village hall too, you're gonna have coffee there on a regular basis. You'll have a pot of coffee always there for someone coming in.
There'll be a little coffee shop we can just go run.
oh yeah, buddy,
Yeah,
maybe an ice cream parlor.
Ice cream with.
and since I haven't taken the ethics class yet, we can get a workaround, you know, give us free coffee for,
It's 2 hours. I recommend straighten up your office while it's playing. It's very simple. I just did it. Kim was on me.
All right, we're gonna get there,
All
don't
right.
worry.
Next
Come
up,
on
we have discussion of annexation meetings with HOAs.
So I realized, you know, we don't have any of the HOA contacts for any of the neighborhoods that are not in Marvin. And I tried to reach out in various ways to people, you know, that I met, and, you know, we posted on Nextdoor, and no one's given us any
Give me-
information.
give me that
Do me a
list. How many
favor,
people?
give us a
Give me the
list of the neighborhoods we're trying to approach.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know I have friends.
You wanna take it down now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Providence Downs,
I got people
Providence.
I can get,
Yep.
and PDS, I got
Providence
those.
Down South,
I'll get
we
you
got,
those.
Ladera. Yeah, Ladera, hold on, I need to go in order.
I got Ladera,
Oh, I
Gates,
had one that moved.
Gates at Ansley,
I don't know anybody there.
Gates
Where?
at Ansley.
Gates at Ainsley.
It's the one that's.
Across the
that's
street.
Right, yeah, across the.
Oh, I don't know anyone there. I'll go knock on doors.
We have Woodhall.
You have the contact of Woodhull, Chuck. His wife's on the board from Publix.
Oh,
Chuck.
his wife's on the board.
His
Okay,
wife is on the
okay.
board. Call
Okay.
Chuck. You've got
Okay,
Woodhull
great.
taken care of.
What
else we got?
Rosecliff.
I know somebody in Rosecliff.
Okay, and Walden Pond.
I don't know anybody in
I
Walden
used to
Pond.
know someone in
yeah,
Walden
there's a
Pond.
bunch of people in Baldwin Pond, but
Okay.
Oh, isn't a former attorney in Walden Pond?
No.
I thought she lived there. Melanie?
Uh-uh.
I swear she lived there.
You swear wrong.
Where does she live?
Not there. I can't think of the name of her neighborhood. It's not Providence.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm
Okay, all right,
100%
all
sure.
right, all right.
Yeah,
You know what?
lighter blue.
You know.
I have, if we can't get them all, then let me know. I will literally walk up to the door of someone and just say, hey, we just need to get some information. We're surrounding town. We want you guys involved, and from a notice standpoint, if nothing else, ability to give you guys notice of what's going on in our town and stuff, you know, so.
And then from here, we've also ordered the envelopes for the flyers to go out, but we wanted to kind of give the presidents or the boards a heads up before
Sure.
the residents got it. So if y'all have any contact, would be great. We'll get the flyers ordered this week or next week, and then we can go from there. It'll take a couple of days, if not a week or two, for us to actually stuff all the envelopes and send them out. So we're a little bit behind on the timeline, just based on the barrier that we've had in contact information, but we will get it done. Any questions or comments on that?
And then, I know I saw a bunch of a hit list of bullet items or whatever, or why you want to be Marvin and stuff. Wasn't included in this, but do we have anything updated? We changed anything?
No.
We changed it to what y'all wanted to
Right.
see in the final version, and that's what we're ordering
Okay.
as our flyer.
All right, any other discussion on that? Thank you. Next up is discussion of employee statement of economic interest, and code of ethics inventory.
Okay, nothing has changed since the last meeting. I've sent the forms again.
My understanding is that, and this is, maybe I shouldn't even, I won't even say it, but I'll talk to you separately about it, you know, but it's, you know, I think we may see a resignation coming up.
What are you talking about?
On the willingness to sign the ethics. There's an ethics of the people that, you know, we may see a resignation, so.
There's only one person that hasn't signed it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was told, but I said, because I reached out to try and get this, you know, get this done, and I think, again, I'm not gonna speak for him, but we've asked it many of times. We've asked many times for it, and, oh, no, I haven't, that wasn't him.
Yeah,
We've got everybody else.
Okay, so, and he's on which group?
The committee,
That's the Marvin Heritage District. Can we put that name up somewhere? Because I always forget what it is.
Marvin Heritage District Strategic Plan Committee.
Yeah, can we like put that on the wall so I can look at it?
We'll have you a cheat sheet.
Is that who you were thinking of?
No,
Okay. We got
You're
it, we got.
So,
The,
okay.
the person you're thinking of came and turned.
Oh, okay,
forms
because I
in
was told that.
Before the previous meetings.
Okay, I apologize, I misspoke there.
Okay, so what's the problem? We just have one person?
Yes.
I've sent him a couple times, haven't heard back in a while.
Does he,
so-
does he come to the meetings and participate?
He's not been to the first two meetings.
Okay. Just, you know, we need people that are gonna be involved and can react to this. This is something that, there are
So
people
we're
that
gonna
wanna be on
find out next
this.
Thursday, if he shows up. If he doesn't, then, I mean, that's 3 meetings, and he hasn't filled out the required.
And we've reached out to them, we're trying to make every effort. We want, there's volunteers that wanna participate, especially in this. I guarantee you, someone will step right in and we can get some of these.
So we'll
You guys
revisit
agree
this
with
in the
that?
November meeting and see what you find out next week, and then we can go from there. Okay?
All right. Moving on. Discussion of RS 2020-10-04, resolution establishing an age requirement of 18 years to serve on advisory boards and subcommittees.
So this is the resolution that you all directed me to draft.
Chaplain's seen it?
Chaplain has reviewed it and he says it's fine. He made 1 or 2 little changes. And so this is what we have.
Great. Put it on the
Yeah, there
consent
can be
agenda.
no animals either because sometimes they appoint, you know.
Like a dog person.
So we are putting on
Dog,
the consent
cat,
agenda.
mayor, a goat. I'm totally fine with this. I think it makes sense, you know, 18 years, you're able to vote, all those things, so, that makes a lot of sense to me.
I do would like to see someone made the suggestion of a junior council or something like that.
Yeah, I love that
I
idea.
think that'd be a great, addition to what we currently have in place.
And Austin is looking into that. I think he's prepared to talk about that in maybe December, November.
It's been on my back burner, but it's something I'll try to prepare for future meeting.
So junior council, meaning,
Student levels that have some involvement.
okay.
Less than 18, Marvin Ridge High School, people who want to get into government or do something like that.
Reach out to the people who teach that and say, hey, look, we have an opportunity to volunteer or,
And there'll be a lot of work going into deciding how that is structured, especially in regard to size and rules and everything. So that'll probably be a multi-month
Tuesday, Friday?
discussion.
they say from the mouth of
Thank you.
babes to the young, we learn a lot, right? Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, anything else on that? We're all good with this? Bob, you're good with the 18?
Yep.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next up, consider a call for a public hearing on November 10th at 6:30 PM, Village Hall for zoning text amendment of application of number 20-12525, various text changes to Marvin Gardens development standards regarding fuel station convenience store.
So moved.
There it is. I thought I knew she was going to say something.
So they're basically adding the application.
Yes,
So we have to have a public hearing, so there's 0 point
Mhm.
talking about it right now, so
I
just,
understand.
so move.
And we'll advertise that and it'll be ready to go for the next meeting.
Okay. Further discussion? Need a motion for that?
I so moved
She just
you.
said so
I
moved.
said further discussion.
for publication.
All's in favor?
All in favor? Sorry, I thought I was saying all in favor.
Aye.
Getting ahead of my skis here, or maybe behind
You,
my
I was
skis.
gonna say,
Yeah,
you're reversing
behind my
real
skis.
fast.
All right, discussion of no idle ordinance.
That's you, Joey.
This is me. So this came up, a resident came to me, and because we're in COVID times, there's a lot of people that are picking up their kids now and dropping their kids off. Obviously, drop-off's a separate issue, but pickup, you all know if you're there to pick up your kids, you gotta get there early to be one of the first ones to get there. But my understanding is people are sitting in these lines for some up to over an hour. They'll get there ahead of time to be there, and they'll leave their cars running. Now, I get it when it's so hot out and you have your air conditioning going. When I looked into this a little bit, I think we realized there's no way to enforce this. So my thought was, and this is very simple, is we come up with a resolution that we reach out to the middle schools in our neighborhoods and the high schools to ask the the actual principals and of those schools to, something as simple as a sign as they pull in that says, "Do your part, please shut off your engines while waiting for your children," and that's it. So we're trying to improve the environment from this standpoint, and there are people that do it, so there's again no way to enforce it other than to have a resolution asking the principals to take action in the sense of, and if it costs us a little bit of money to create a sign for the schools, so be it. But it's just more of, there's no way to enforce it, is my understanding. And
Why not the elementary schools?
I said elementary schools.
No, you said middle and high, but that's
No,
okay.
no, I meant them all
Okay.
the schools.
I'm pretty sure Marvin Elementary has a sign up that says turn your car off. Or something along those lines.
Right.
And so if somebody wants to drive by there, I'll do it. And I can
Take a picture.
of it.
Yeah.
And show it to you.
All I'm saying is if we do a resolution and we present that to
I-
the principals, I think that's an easy fix for them to say, you know what, this makes sense. There are people waiting in lines. And this is just not during drop off, but pickup is,
yeah, people get
again.
there early. And,
Yeah, and it's just because you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
And again, if it's really, really hot outside in the summertime, I get that.
But it
But,
can be really, really cold in the wintertime too.
right, but you're not going to freeze in an hour.
You're not gonna melt in an hour either.
So there could be a fix for that coming up soon.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh.
Yeah, you just have to do a POW bill.
We get Powell to pay for those signs?
Now, but anyway, so this was just something, as I'd ask you guys to, resolutions or something that we can reach out and say, hey, we're just asking our schools to do their part. We know there's no way to enforce it. We're concerned about it. It goes along with our whole thing with wildlife and, the kind of community we want to see and stuff. So that's all I had. And
I'll run
concern.
by and take a picture of it and
Okay.
I'll send it to everybody.
All right. You guys okay with an ordinance? Resolution?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have discussion of election
Actually,
day.
can we go back?
Sure.
So you said there's no way to enforce it
Yes.
because we can't have an ordinance that's outside of Marvin. Because the only one we could have an ordinance for it would be at
Yeah.
Marvin Elementary.
I-
Is that why you're saying there's no way to enforce it?
I think that was one of the reasons as we looked in, I talked to Christina, she's not here right now, but there was, it's technically not in Marvin, like
We
the high
can't,
school.
Yeah. in middle
So
school, yeah.
you can't, have an officer there again, this is more of a courtesy thing. It's a do your part of the community.
Okay.
That's all it is. But
Okay.
there's really, we're not asking them to dish out fines and stuff like that, but,
Okay.
um,
Powell fund. They can pay for it.
Listen, if we stop fracking and gas goes to $7 an hour, that's what I was gonna say.
yeah.
They won't be idling.
We'll be under
The only idling,
bicycles.
yeah, exactly. We're picking them up on a cart.
Little rickshaw.
Horse and buggy.
Rickshaw.
We
I
get
like
the
the
horse and
rickshaw.
buggy out.
All right, next up we have discussion of election day, November 3rd, 2020.
This was me. I just wanted to see, do we want to go out and work the polls and tell people to vote how we want them to vote for the referendum?
I take every opportunity to express my opinion on this kind of stuff, but we can't do it officially through any verbiage and stuff. I would say you guys were a big part, all of you were a big part of getting me elected, quite frankly, in the write-in campaign. So we've done that. So I'm saying reach out to your communities. We've got neighborhoods, we have contacts in and say we have different communities that we can say, look, this is what we prefer. We're not saying you gotta do it, but this is what we prefer. And you don't have to get into it if they wanna get into the weeds. But I will tell you, there are people that are very involved in the community
They're
that's
very
still
confused.
calling me, or they're very confused about, they're thinking that my position's going away or something like that because of the change of government.
Some people would be so happy.
They'll be so happy with that. And the funny thing is, I got an email from someone that said, I want Mayor Polino to have no more power. And what the ironic thing about
You don't have
that is, we
it.
are giving up power by the one resolution of changing the form of government, because we won't be involved in the hiring of our staff members. It's separate from the political thing that we get in. So it is what it is. People don't understand it.
They don't, because I had someone tell me they marked yes in one and no in the other, and he said, I'll give you 50% of what you asked for. Do you know which one you marked yes?
Nope.
Nope. That's where voting
Yep.
is today.
Yeah. There should be a litmus test before you're allowed to vote, I guess.
Well,
maybe. But anyway, so I would just say we can't do anything official because of
No,
the violation.
no, I don't mean official, I just meant to, do
Yeah.
not stand out there.
I thought about standing out there because I think it's going to stay at the high school, is it not?
No, it'll go to the elementary school here.
It will?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just early voting.
That's just early.
I just thought because of the parking issue, they were looking early for other locations. And all the buses had moved out to the parking lot, the
Yeah.
trailers are moved, but that's early voting only. You confirm that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not opposed.
mean,
I'd
no,
say if you
no.
want to work the election, you know,
No, I have not confirmed that the voting will be at
Jamie.
Marvin Elementary on November
Why don't
3rd,
we-
but I assume that it will because it's always there.
okay.
But I don't
I
want
still
somebody
want the
coming
onions,
back.
just don't
Or
want the
like,
peppers.
but there's like 4 spots, so
Yeah.
don't listen to whatever council says about wherever it's gonna be. Check with the Board of Elections.
Yes. Okay. I know they were struggling for early voting. So.
Yeah,
Okay, we're good there?
yep.
All right, moving on. A review of council minutes from 9/24/20 work session and 10/13/20 meeting.
Isn't it nice only having 2 sets of minutes to approve?
It is, but I'm not gonna lie, I haven't looked at them. So does anybody have any changes? Cause I have not looked
Well,
at these.
I will not lie with you and say I did not get to those either, just because there were only 2 of them, so give us a few minutes.
You're fine. Take as much time as
You
you
want to take a quick recess?
That'd be lovely.
And then you can use the bathroom,
Yeah.
look at the minutes, and then we'll come back to
Perfect.
that. All right?
Okay, make a motion to take a 5-minute recess.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Oh, and adjourn again. All's in favor?
There we go. Aye.
Motion passes. All right,
Aye.
so we are discussing the minutes, 9/24. Do we have any changes on that first one?
No, and we just need to have one set with the watermark. And
don't need that invoice
we need
there.
to remove the invoice
My bad.
from the end of it. I'm good with those. You can place those on the consent agenda. Any changes, anybody? Nope, okay, moving on, 10:13. 10:13.
So we'll approve them all together? Okay.
No, we'll stick on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Do you want a motion to put them on the consent agenda?
Let's get to 10:13, see if anybody has any changes,
Okay.
and then we'll do them all together.
Any questions on 10/13?
Nope.
No,
Right?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to place the minutes from 10/24/20 and 10/13/20 on the consent agenda at the November
10th meeting.
10th meeting.
You did same thing to me, you put two sets.
I accidentally copied everybody and put 2 sets of the September 4th, and there's
Yeah.
a random invoice in there that must have been on the printer.
Yeah. So-
My bad.
Okay. I said, that just looks all familiar. So, okay. So we have a motion,
Yep.
further discussion? All of those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
You got the added items next.
Okay. Next up, we have.
Here's your piece of paper, it's easier.
I know.
There. Number 2.
Add number 19, add discussion of consideration of correction for appointed terms of members for the Board of Adjustments.
Okay, so I'm gonna pass this out. Basically, in a nutshell, when you guys reappointed the Board of Adjustments in July, you all appointed them to terms ending in 2023. The establishing ordinance for the board requires them to have staggered terms, and based on their previously expired terms, both Mike Gilboy and Mike Farley, their term should actually end on March 1st, 2022 instead of 2023. So this is just advising you all to make a motion to revise the terms as presented here to be in line with the ordinance. And the ordinance is on the back, highlighted.
So I'll make a motion to revise the terms for the Board of Adjustments as presented.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Since we're near the end, and you want to text Andy and say, don't race if he's at work and stuff, because I don't think there's really anything more.
We got a lot. We got a lot.
Still got administrator's
We got closed
report and everything.
session.
All right, okay. That was
Come on,
hoping.
let's go, chop. Quit talking.
Next up on the agenda, item to discuss ethics training webinar.
Okay, so Joe's got his done, so he's off my list.
Thank you, Joe. Good job,
Boom!
buddy. Good
Bam!
job. Bam.
So I still
Did
need,
it while
so I
cleaning
still
my
need,
office, so it's non-interactive, it's
All right,
very
shush,
serious.
let's go.
so I need Bob, Jamie, and Andy
It's not
to
interactive, it's
complete
just
theirs.
2 hours.
You all should have the completion form now. Jamie, you've got yours right there. Basically, you keep the top half for your records and you return the bottom half to me. The deadline by law to do this is next Tuesday, Election Day.
It just really focuses on, when you recuse yourself for the most part, what things are illegal if you happen to be on the board and your sister or mom or whoever has some sort of thing. It goes through all that, and it's funny because most of the people taking it on live at the time were wrong. So it's good information to know, but we also, in fairness, do have our attorney here to determine if it's something that, if there's an issue on there. But it's good. It's 2 hours, I did it. You can stop at any time, go to the bathroom, come back, but I was
And it's
reorganizing
easy to
my
get into.
office.
It's easy to get into and access.
Yeah.
And if you have any issues, call me.
November 3rd, fellas, get it done.
Already done.
Already done?
Thank you
Did
for
it?
the link, and officially I will
No,
do it.
oh, I thought someone voted.
Wait, what?
No, your
What did he
ethics
say?
training.
I'm a vote again on November 3rd.
And again, and
I
again.
got my absentee ballot, done, my early voting, and my in-person.
Perfect.
The boys do too. So we can all go to jail together.
Oh, that's 9. That's good. All right, Austin, you good?
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Okay. So if not, if this hasn't been done by
We have to,
Sunday, Austin's gonna be calling you guys to remind you. And
we
then
have
again on
we have to purchase it
Monday.
again, right?
If they officially take this one down, and we have to
So-
buy it all over again.
But
You're still violating the law by not doing
You
it.
just go to the website.
Yeah, he sent you an email, and you just click on that, and it zooms you right in, because the one thing you can't do, which when I went on it, is you can't go live and download this. But he did for me, because I was like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen, and sure enough, it's not interactive, it's just 2 hours of the thing, and then
Gotcha.
he was able to get this form for us, and then we signed it.
Y'all have physical forms now. They're also in your email. So.
So we're good there.
Give you some sort of completion number, certificate number, something like that.
The certificate the form I gave you, you keep the top half for yourself to prove that you did it, and you send the bottom half to me that I keep on record.
he's asking, is there a completion number to put on that?
Okay.
No, I think it's an honor system, but
Ethics?
It is on.
yeah, if you have ethics,
It's in ethics.
you'll be.
I listened to it, in all fairness. In fact, I have proof that I did, because I wasn't sure I'd be
He
able to
called
prove
me
it.
and I can hear
I
it.
was taking pictures and video that, okay, I'm still on this, listening to this thing, so, for 2 hours, so. I did listen,
So proud of you, Joe.
yeah, so I still don't
I mean,
know.
how unethical
I-
you are,
I-
hopefully it'll help, so.
Yeah, thanks for putting that on record. All right, so next up, we have discussion of 2020 land use plan.
Okay, I guess I'll take it from
No, I
here.
gave you my copy. Where's the copy I gave you? Where'd you put it?
Alright,
Oh no, I gave you my marked up copy. Hang on. Sugar pants.
Well, it should be right here.
Should be. Is it in there? Oh, there it is.
I think I saw it. There it is.
Look at these that we printed. Kills like 10 trees.
Yeah, not only that, we print like several copies of each month's iteration for the last year or so. But any case, there are actually very few revisions that that came up based on public input from several meetings and the town hall meeting. If we could pass this around, it's just the cover sheet that I was gonna put on the October 13th with some small revisions. Can I have one? But it's effectively the same as the one that was available at the town hall, the September town hall.
Okay, can we go through, like, if we have changes or suggestions?
Yeah, so how do you want to take care of it? Like, you just each want to go through and tell me?
Yeah.
Or just talk about
We'll
what?
go through it page by page. Is
Okay,
that good?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
So page number 4, the
Mhm.
second paragraph, should land use plan be capitalized? Because it's capitalized other
sure.
places. I hate this picture of this horse
Okay.
with the equestrian roots. I mean, if you guys want to leave it, that's fine, but I hate that. Anyway, do we need to change where we talk about, if you go down to under scope,
Mm-hmm.
do we need to change every place that it talks about Marvin's Village Center? Do we need to
Yes,
make
yes.
that the MSD?
Yeah, that was one of the, in the cover sheet, that's one of the recommendations that
Okay.
I have since,
Okay,
we,
perfect.
this draft was given
Yeah,
before.
before, yeah, okay. Just want to make
So
sure.
changing it to heritage.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
instances of Village Center District changed to Marvin Heritage District
Yep.
is one of my,
Perfect. Okay, good.
overall revisions that's in the cover sheet.
Number 6.
Page 6.
I'm sorry, page 6, this picture of Marvin Village Hall, can you not put that there? We are gonna move, this is gonna be the land use plan for a really long time, and that
Okay.
just looks terrible. Like,
Would you suggest a different, like, what picture should I use in
I don't
that
know,
space?
but not that. I mean, that is just, I mean, I,
Just do it without a picture.
You have that aerial that looks good.
Oh, like the one kind of facing that way?
Yeah, I mean,
Instead?
it's just an aerial of like the cemetery and like the site that we're on.
something besides this, because
Okay,
this is,
okay.
I mean,
think I'll
this,
just switch it out with
it
that
is
one.
just not a good representation of, I mean, I know it is what it is right now, but.
My car's in there, I must have been working that day. Kidding. You're actually looking.
Okay, page 7, the bottom section, number 4, implement, that probably doesn't need to be capitalized. Number 4, implement,
Okay,
right?
sure.
Okay. I mean, I'm asking,
Are these the final set of revisions?
yes.
Okay, I want to be sure we're on the same page.
Page 11, in the middle of that paragraph, there's definitely a font change, lacked a degree of policy, specificity, and qualitative dissenters.
Middle of the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Someone else mentioned that before, but I couldn't find it, so
There
thanks
it
for
is.
finding it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It's like a weird font. Okay, page 13, at the top, should we put something in there about also being surrounded by unincorporated Union County? Since we talk about Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, Lancaster, we don't talk about like unincorporated as also all around us. I mean, I don't know if we need to or not, but we're talking about all the other areas. Still on page 13, under historical context, the third sentence, the period needs to go inside of the quotation marks.
Oh, that's how grammar works, yep, thank you.
Page 14, at the bottom, underneath the picture of the 3 people walking, the sentence that starts with, in accord with Union County, Marvin is also seeing some increase in the number of older adults and people older than 65. What's the difference between older adults and, I mean, that just, I don't know, that sentence just seems wonky.
Easily can just increase the number
The
of,
number of elderly.
yeah,
Or
Just go-
older adults,
just number of older adults.
yeah.
You wanna get rid of that one or you wanna keep that one?
Just make it like clear, older
Yeah.
adults is fine.
Over 55, how about that?
Sure, that's fine,
Okay, people older than 55, you wanna say?
sure.
Okay,
Increased number of adults beyond,
Just say older adults, period, in the
Okay.
sentence. Marvin's growth, the next paragraph, Marvin's growth is predominantly attributable to residential growth, or is it attributed to?
We can say attributed, I'm not sure.
I don't know, attributable to. It just
Marvin's
didn't-
growth is,
That just didn't sound right to me. Predominantly attributed to.
how about get rid of attributable? Marvin's growth is predominantly residential developments. I mean,
Sure,
Okay,
that's fine.
Marvin's growth is predominantly residential development. We all know that, okay?
Okay,
okay.
In terms of largely with relatively low tax rates and access some, so that means there's not much
yeah,
in the
okay.
form of,
Okay,
Page 15, the bottom, the, end of that paragraph, 2 new middle schools. What are the 2 new middle schools?
the last decade, 3 elementary and
2 new middle schools and 1 new high school. What are the 2, what's
Oh,
the
good
second
point.
middle school?
well, yeah, those are elementary, you're right, yeah.
okay, one new that is,
I mean, unless I'm missing something somewhere.
3 elementary.
We have a middle school
I
and a high
thought we
school.
had an elementary school before, so we have added 2 new elementary schools, because wasn't it 10 years ago? let's say
Marvin was
last-
here.
Marvin was here,
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
so you just need to,
Rayview is, yeah.
right, so that would be 2
Sandbridge,
new,
okay,
elementary schools.
1 new middle school and 1 new high school. But I would check those facts.
Okay.
Or that, but I don't know what the second middle school is.
Oh, jeez.
Page 17. Okay, what was it? New definitions on locations. Oh, like 12, okay, like the 12 Mile Creek water treatment plant, like we need to say that that's not in Marvin. Like, I don't want people thinking that that's in Marvin. And then Heritage Oaks Lane, we need to say that that's in Marvin. Like, they need to be designated, like, they need to have designations of where they are. I don't want people rolling in and thinking we've got a water treatment plant here.
okay,
And then just say Heritage Oaks Lane, Marvin, North Carolina,
Mhm.
you know, just designate that.
sure.
What page was that again?
So that was, what page was that?
17.
17. Just the pictures, they just need to be have a little more,
Yeah, we want that plant associated.
yeah. All right, okay, I'm on page 28 now. Now, I did this a while ago, so my note says, anything that has to do with the Marvin Heritage District, make sure it fits exactly what we want to accomplish and get input from who or wherever you need. I don't know what that means. I guess with the land, like, make sure that whatever we want in that Heritage District, you have it fully laid out in this land use plan.
That's gonna be section,
I just put it right there. I just want to I think all I was saying was, anything that you want in there, just make sure it's in there. That has to do with the Heritage District.
When you say
yeah, can
anything,
you
what,
clarify that?
Like, no.
I think,
Like, I guess, like zoning, I don't know what I mean. I'm just saying, like, if there's like a wish list that you want for the Marvin Heritage District that belongs in the land use plan, make sure you have it in there.
we can put some conceptual, like high level stuff if it's not in there already,
Right.
but a lot of that stuff will be decided, during these next few months.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what because I haven't done it, I just wanna make sure that whatever you,
We'll make sure there's some high level stuff in there.
yeah.
I'll put a note.
Number 36, I thought, as we're talking about sustainable practices and protection, do we wanna add something about possibly adding garbage?
What page, I'm sorry?
36, trash collection and using, environmentally friendly trash trucks.
We can add something on there.
I mean, because I think the goal was to go to those vehicle trucks that
Yeah.
are,
Emission free or whatever they are. So I was just thinking this might be a good place to add trash collection.
If we're going page by page, can I
Yep.
add one recommendation here
Yep.
from the memo from public input?
Yep.
One lady asked if we could add, consider implementation of agricultural preservation zoning to reserve large undeveloped tracts of land. I guess I meant to add permanently reserve large undeveloped tracts of land. It's kind of non-committal. If you say consider, at least it allows you to consider it at a later point, and then if you do decide to do it, you can come back and say it's consistent with the land use plan.
Give me an example because I don't understand.
So if you have a farm, like the Hall family farm, that's now being sold, instead you have a permanent agriculture preservation, then it can never be developed. It can't be developed in 100 years. And so, that would be an established.
So we're putting a restriction on somebody else's property that they
Well,
can't
they would
build
volunteer,
something?
they would volunteer for it, for example.
Oh, okay.
Right, we couldn't rezone someone's property without their permission, but, the lady who said, who suggested this said that, she's from, Illinois, and the farm owner wanted this for their property, so that.
So basically like their kids, like when he dies, their kids
Yes.
couldn't go up and sell it.
Right,
I think we're getting it a little too,
I think you're leaning too heavily on the word consideration,
yeah.
because people across the Midwest are losing their farms every day because they can't afford to pay the taxes on them. 9 times out of 10, the reason they, if a farm is there, they make $100,000, but if they sold the farm, they could make 2.3 million on it that they could never make farming. They could farm it for the next 100 years and couldn't make 2.3 million. That's just my 2 cents.
I think we're trying to control
Yeah,
people's
I
stuff too much.
appreciate her wanting to, because again, I think it falls in line, Rohit, with, we want to keep it small and rural and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but I just,
I agree with that.
might be.
alright then, so not adding it, that's fine.
Okay, on to page 39, the map. This possible commercial corridor at the bottom of, where Bonds Grove and Providence come in, where everybody had this issue. Do we want to make that a possible commercial corridor? Now's the time.
Well, thank you. And because I was going to address that.
You're welcome,
That's been a
Bob.
hot issue. It's a hot issue. What's that?
I said, you're welcome, Bob.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
That was a hot issue in October of 2019. It was a hot issue when, a work session, I guess, or, back in January. I've had frequent phone calls from the residents of the courtyard to Marvin about that red spot. So I guess from a standpoint of protocol right now, and I've discussed this with John Jones, this is just as it's mapped out, it's a possible thing. And it's long-term. I guess this goes out, to 2050. But, say a matter of protocol is if we had all the residents show up at the public, if had all the residents show up at the public meeting and say, we've got an issue with that red spot there, is this the way that removes that, or do we turn around and decide we want to remove that? I'm just asking.
I guess this future land use map allows the council in the future to refer back to this and say, you know, is this consistent with our vision for 2050? When, you know, these people or anyone else submit a rezoning, you can look at it and say, okay, no, it's in the yellow area, so it's not consistent with our 2050 vision. If you were to keep it, then they can still submit their rezoning and you still consider the application. It's a conditional district, so you have the whole process of them developing a site plan, council negotiating the conditions, you know, lots of public input meetings before they even get their rezoning. So I guess what I mean to say is having this here is not a commitment that these people can have their rezoning or are having their rezoning. It just allows you to say that it's consistent with the land use plan when the rezoning gets to the point of a decision, if you would approve the rezoning.
I mean, for me, it seems like there's a whole bunch of residential all around it, except across the street. I don't know what's gonna happen there, but that's unincorporated Union County is what it looks like to me.
Cross Providence Road is unincorporated, but
Okay.
across Bonds Grove Church is actually Waxhaw, and it's zoned commercial.
Oh, that's not residential there, there's lots?
Well, that, what Christina's pointing to is across Providence Road is zoned residential, but they're on an unincorporated county. It looks like they're gonna develop into something.
That'll eventually be a like that for sure.
Yeah,
What is this?
That's a neighborhood.
that's a little too far out. So this is a farm right now, but he's looking to develop that.
Into
in-
houses?
I've not heard the details about it. But then across Bonds Grove Church, I do know that that's in Waxhaw and that's zoned commercial. It's about 5 acres.
Yeah, I
South
mean,
is Waxhaw as well, right?
South of the property is zoned commercial.
I got it, yeah. I just, for me, I think we're asking for a headache there. It's all around residential. If at some point somebody wants to come to us, if we leave it residential, and somebody wants to come to us and say, hey, we'd like to rezone this commercial, and there happens to be commercial that's popped up around there, I think we can look at it, but for me, I don't like that possible commercial corridor. It's teeny. Like, it doesn't make sense to have that possible commercial there, for me. So if I were gonna make the decision, I would make that residential. Or keep it residential.
Yeah, and we're still, what, 10 years from widening, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd really like to see what happens when the widening comes in before I go into changing. Because again, we're allowing residential with the courtyards. Could it be an extension of the courtyards that, not in the same development, obviously, but something that similar to that may make sense? We don't know, based on population growth. I don't know how they would be upset with that courtyards if there was something similar. There's definitely going to be a light there at some point. You're going to have commercial across the road, but again, the widening and all that, I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know how difficult it is, or it's going to become for the courtyards to get in and out of there anyway. To go north, they may have to go south. In 10 years, they may have to go south and get in, go beyond the thing and kind of do like they do on 74, this, what do they call them, super streets?
Yeah.
Because right now, courtyards don't have any way to get out of it, right? Other than just negotiate traffic. There's
Frogger,
no line back.
Frogger,
You Frogger. I have that game at my house.
do you? Is
Yes.
it like a sit-down one?
No, it's an old, the original Frogger I bought 6
I know, but
machines.
is it, so it's a stand-up one?
Yeah.
Arcade game. Cool.
Come over and play some.
I am. I'm going to. Do you have this Pac-Man?
I have Pac-Man too. I got, you know, and
Yeah.
Cubert
Galactica?
Cubert needs to be fixed, but, you know, Frogger's
Galactica?
fun. I get run over all the time, so. I
I'm
may
not
have Galactica.
surprised.
Okay, so.
Jamie, what do you think?
I think that I mean, it's been a sore spot for a lot of people that made their opinion known about it. I'm like you, to call it a corridor, you're gonna be able to put if you were gonna put something that'd be very tiny.
Yeah.
I think it's just something that if somebody has to do it, let them come back and go through the entire process. to
I
make it
agree.
happen.
All right, so we're
I
under
would-
consensus, Joe? Not that you have a vote, doesn't really matter.
I have no opinion on this one.
Okay.
No, I'm fine.
I mean, there's a
People know
process,
where I'm at.
there's a process in
If
place.
they want to rezone the whole thing, then they can come to us to rezone it, but I don't think having it a possible commercial corridor is, I don't think that benefits anybody, and I think it's gonna put us in a sticky wicket.
And it's really right at the edge of town, of our town. All
I'd
towns
rather-
end somewhere.
I'd rather leave it as a residential there.
We're already getting complaints that they don't want any more commercial.
So do you need us a consensus on that, Rohit?
Is there anything else that you'd like to see changed in the map? Then we could make you could have a motion to make,
Prefer the map as amended.
yeah. as
Well, we're
amended.
not approving anything. I just
Oh,
wanna
yeah.
know if you
Oh,
have
yeah.
because we
Yeah, yeah.
have to have the public hearing, so
That's a good point.
I just want to
We could just
know,
get a consensus to remove
to
that,
remove that. I'm good with it, Jamie.
to make it residential instead of not.
Bob, you good making it residential instead of a possible commercial corridor?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I may just add just a comment that
Nope.
I'm gonna say, you know, we're talking about annexation and wanting
Doesn't
people to
listen to
become
me.
more members
Doesn't
of
listen.
the village of Marvin. And, you know, here are a group of people who are who are in the Marvin that are saying they don't want anything to be changed and they have voice. Regardless of what happens across the street being in Union County, well, that's kind of like the situation I was thinking about yesterday in the special meeting. I was thinking about the residents or the residential community across the way from the property we're talking about where the village hall and commercials going to be. And no, they don't, it doesn't, we take care of our own, care of people that are in the village. And we don't know what's gonna happen across the street. That's in a whole different area, as is the same situation. So I want to just have that for the record. I just think that, I agree with what you said, Kim, that I think this is gonna be a headache down the road. I don't think we need to go there.
Yeah, and I just don't think it makes sense. It's so small, there's
No.
nothing else commercial around it right now. It
Yeah,
doesn't fit in there. So I would just make that residential.
It fits in a sense that it's on a main thoroughfare.
But there's no other
Right,
commercial around
right.
it, so. Okay, and that was that was it.
Okay, before we move on from the map, I did get one, just kind of recently, request from Lisa Thompson, who's the planner, administrator for, Weddington, that, in this annexation boundary, which, we hope to have an annexation agreement renewal, because that expires in December. They say, I guess if it lapses a little bit, it won't be the end of the world, but she does want us to consider, changing the boundary where the Roots Farm is on Crane Road. And if you give me a second, I need to screen share this so Bob sees what I'm drawing. She wants to revise the boundary here to encompass the entire Roots Farm in Weddington's annexation area, which would change the boundary to look roughly like this. And Sarah, do I have a white? No.
What is that area currently?
It's undeveloped, it's a farm, but there's this big Roots Farm kind of redevelopment happening in Weddington, and
that's part of it?
that is part of it, yeah. But it's not in Marvin, it's just in our annexation
Can you go up a
area.
little bit?
In a nutshell, Weddington wants this
Right.
instead of us.
Right, Weddington wants those properties that are also part of Roots Farm in their annexation area, so that all of Roots Farm can be in Weddington's
one
annexation
municipality.
area.
That's
Yes,
fine.
yes.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so if everyone is fine with that,
And that's just me, Jamie.
does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Bob, did you see that? I'll draw that again.
I do, yeah, I do, I was, yeah, they just don't want to be apart.
Right. So
I mean,
this-
that's what we're trying to prevent now, right? It's like having a little bit in Marvin, a little bit out of Marvin,
Right.
a little bit, I mean, that's what we're trying to
like
prevent.
all
so-
of this is Roots Farm too, and so revising the boundary in this way would make all of Roots Farm in Weddington.
It's almost like taking on a neighborhood, and part of the neighborhood isn't part of it.
Yeah,
Right.
like
Yeah,
Providence
so-
Downs.
And it's not ours now, and I think that
I think that's
it
fine.
makes sense for
Right.
what the map looks like.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Remind them, we gave
Yeah,
them
we
that.
did this, so when we come
They
back
owe
for
us.
something else.
Yeah,
Anything else in the map?
thank you for sharing that.
No problem. I'm glad that she caught us right before we got around to approving this. In the future, in the near future, we'll be updating our annexation agreement with Weddington. That will have this final new boundary, but that's not really part of this discussion
Okay.
today.
Alright, anything else with the land use plan, friends? Nope? Okay, good job, so we'll put that, we'll have the public hearing, and then we can approve it if there's no major objections at the public
So we need
hearing.
a motion for that to approve these last changes?
No,
We're not
there's no
approving
motions
anything.
The
today.
I know, but
I'll-
these changes to be presented to the,
Oh yeah, I could get a consensus to have the final draft incorporate the
right.
I'm good with
revisions
that.
made today.
Jamie?
Yep.
Bob? Okay,
Yeah, that's,
All right, there's your
okay, good.
consensus.
So all of the revisions we've talked about
yep,
will be available for the version that's being voted on
Yep.
November 10th. Okay,
Okay,
so you ignore the staff recommendation on that cover sheet, that was just grabbed from the November 10th.
fall down,
That's it.
fall down,
why are we in half staff?
because the, person from Weddington that joined the.
Coast Guard? Or, I don't remember,
The military,
or
in
what it
some
was.
form or fashion was killed, that's why we're half staff.
Governor Cooper ordered it.
Yeah, she went to Weddington High. So, okay,
Okay, that's all I have for that. That's
Alright.
great. Thanks, everyone.
All right, moving on, so it looks like the last item, the,
oh yeah, this is me.
number 22, discussion of remote sign-in policy.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so when people come in, we ask them to sign in, just so we know who's here and, just for our records. I would like to know, when people join us, who is on there. I don't know if there's a way to do that. So I don't know if, I mentioned it yesterday in passing when we were done with our meeting to staff. So I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look into that, and if not, can you?
I've emailed the clerk listserv. I've gotten one response so far.
Okay.
And how do you enforce that?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking them to look into it. I would just like to know who's.
Because I think you should be allowed to be anonymous if you want. I don't know, I mean, that's the right, do you have to sign in, or if we're having them sign in here?
That's what I'm saying.
At meetings, normally people don't sign in, they only sign up if they're doing public comment.
Right.
But we have asked them to sign in regardless of if they're making a public comment, if they come in here. I know that we did
But I
that
don't
a
know
few
if you
years
can
ago.
legally require them.
I don't
to-
think you can legally require it, but I would just like to know who's, I think it's good to know who's participating, so that when somebody comes up and complains, and be like, I haven't seen you at any meetings.
Right.
You don't know what you're talking about.
That's fair, I just think people have a right to be anonymous and show up at a meeting and not, I
Okay.
mean, but it's the
if
opinion
you
of
guys
one,
don't-
and I may
if
be
you guys
right,
don't
may be
care-
wrong, but it's always frustrating, it's like, if you're gonna complain, then at least let me know who you are.
Right.
So I can, you know.
Do you want, is there a consensus for staff to investigate this further?
I think it makes sense to look at if we can do it, then, you know, what's crazy is we'll have people come in and just introduce themselves for coffee at council, but we really don't. We're not even checking sure to make sure they're a resident. And that's what I told them Tuesday night. I said, as long as you're not a developer, this is for residents only. So I assume there was no way for us to check that the two other individuals, other than Tom, I know is a HOA president and stuff. But in fairness, I mean, are we meeting with people that are, you know?
You know what, I think from an integrity standpoint, it would be nice to know who's joining in.
We'll research it and report
Just-
back in November.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Back on to
Open topics.
open topics. Discussion, consideration of communication topics for November.
Wait, do we have any open topics? Yeah.
Oh, no, open topics, I'm sorry. Is there open topics, and we have any
Nope,
you want to
I
add?
don't. Okay.
Yeah. Next up, communication topics, email blurbs, discussion, consideration, communication topics for November.
Austin, I would like for you to not give us this list until we get here to make people, I'm just kidding, come up with something. I'm just
It's
kidding.
like, where's she going?
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
You have a draft list for November, and you have the topics that went out this month. And this is mostly inclusive. For October, it's changed a slight bit. But yeah, so let me know if there's things you want to see go out this month. The new website should be launching in the next few weeks. Still working on that. We should be doing training within the next 2 weeks, hopefully, but we'll have to get that scheduled. Anyway. So what do you got, Kim?
So when we had coffee with council, when I got here, I was made aware that there is a possible rezoning happening in unincorporated Union County near Weddington Chase, the new Publix. That's a proposed 300 apartment building development.
Behind that storage facility.
Yep. So Weddington Chase asked, do you guys post any of that information? Do we have any of that kind of information out there for the residents, just to kind of keep them up to date on what has changed? I said we normally haven't done things like that, so my question is, do we want to do stuff like that? We can send them out in a blurb, put it on the website. That's my question.
I think if it's in the sphere of influence, meaning that it's an adjacent
Which it would be, because if it
area
gets rezoned,
to
then
what's
we would
happening.
get,
Even though they are required by law, they'll get notified, giving them a heads up. I mean, when the HOA president was here, in all fairness, he's like, what's going on with this? And Kim and I looked at each other and go, we just received this 2 minutes ago. So, but getting that information out to communities that, kind of doing our part ahead of time once we get noticed, because not everybody, everyone gets their information different. And any information is good information in the sense that we're trying to get it out.
Is that in Weddington's annexation area?
It is in Weddington's annexation area, it's not in ours. But the point of discussion yesterday was that Weddington would just likely as equally oppose this rezoning.
This might be a WUMA topic.
right, that's what I said.
Yeah, it would be. And
But
it'd be something
I
we
think
go after
to
them.
this, for this topic, that we need to put something out, that this has been proposed,
And
it's
where
very
that-
early stages,
Yeah,
here are all the stages that it's gonna have to go through.
There's no way, unfortunately, to highlight just the neighbors in that area on our blast from a communication standpoint, because you don't necessarily from an email that on
But
the
I think that just shows all of our
Yeah.
neighbors, friends and neighbors, that, we're getting information out there.
Do you want to also include the council's opinion on that stance
Nope.
on that rezoning, or
Nope.
just information only?
Just
Just
information.
information that this is an application has been presented to this area, and it gives them a heads up. It is not in Marvin, but is in, a neighborhood area that may affect your neighborhood. Something like that, they gotta know that you can give the location and stuff, and it's not gonna be relevant to us over here, like in my neighborhood, but at least I know the villages on it, they're talking about this neighborhood on this corner. Oh, I don't live in that neighborhood, okay, I get that, but the people who do read those emails, it would make sense. So obviously location, where they're at, with, in the process, or if it's just at the beginning or whatever. So, okay.
Okay.
I think we,
Thank you.
Hey, and you know what? I can think of another thing is, you know, as a blurb, if we're gonna do a resolution to the schools, you know, remind, you know, parents while you're waiting in line for a car, please turn your car off and
I
stuff.
think that's fine.
I mean, there's nothing
So,
wrong with that.
So a
Just-
blurb about no idling.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, just like what.
A friendly
Let's do the
reminder.
resolution first.
Resolution on this.
On this idling thing, because we talked about that, but then, you know, hey, we're
Once we
asking, as a
get it.
community, we're asking you to do your part.
So late
You
November,
know, Yeah,
because we should have it done for the November meeting.
I mean,
Election day needs to be on there.
Is it not on it?
No.
Okay. Yeah, definitely put that one on there. And we'll talk about election
Okay.
referendum stuff next.
Last day to vote, 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 vote.
Especially if you're in Chicago.
You
I'm worried
guys,
about Philly.
November 30th,
That's tremendous.
you need to have Kim's birthday. Everybody needs to wish me happy birthday.
When is your birthday?
November 30th.
Okay. Oh, that's my parents' anniversary.
We've talked about this. I would
Yeah,
preemptively,
certainly the park would be closed.
oh yes, park closures. That's good. Good job, Bob. Good job, Bob. See, Bob is participating.
Apparently you and I are.
Nope. I would go ahead and preemptively put the Christmas tree lighting out there. And then we'll do it again in December.
We picked out a date for that.
It's the 12th at 4.
That's right.
Okay. That's all I got.
Anybody else got any blurbs? Speak now or forever hold your
I
blurbs.
said again, I mean,
Wuma's in there, right?
I've had
Yeah,
more
it's in
people
there.
talk about what we've done from a communication standpoint, and it's a great job on doing that. I mean, that, people are.
They're noticing.
They're noticing and they're appreciative of all that's going out, how it's going out, the frequency of it. It's going a long way, and this is just, we just gotta keep our foot on the gas on this one, and that's,
Yeah, what's the hate about it, right? What's the complaint?
well,
You know what I mean? It's
People are
just getting-
complaining that they're getting too much information?
Well, no, I'm just saying,
Oh.
what
they're liking the
Oh.
frequency of it.
Okay, good.
Because it's not overloaded. It's, you got one here, you got one there. It's simple, it's concise. It's, here you go. They see that, you know, in my email, it comes up, I got a little yellow flag on it that says that I know, okay, that's from a reputable, I know who it's from. I've had more people comment on our communication and our transparency than, probably more than anything.
I think it's really good. I think
Glad
it's
y'all
really
like it.
good. One thing that I would try to, and I don't know that I've necessarily seen it, but on Nextdoor, when an event has passed, like, let's make sure we get it off.
You can't pull it down public record.
You can't?
Mm-mm.
Really? Can you hide it after that?
Mm-mm. Can't do it.
Damn, that's really
Can you
annoying.
destroy it?
That's really annoying.
Can't do it.
Hey,
Even if we keep
How
a
about-
record of it?
You could do that, but then
Okay.
it's
all right.
it's a bit of a headache.
Okay.
you know what? It's just as I'm thinking about the coffee with council, let's face it, it's starting to get more things. So maybe say, hey, we're getting more and more attendees. You know, please keep your, you know, interest up and your suggestions. It's a great way to engage with council in a non-formal way.
So I'll revise that. I'll revise that
Yeah,
and
maybe
update the
just,
message.
just, hey, you know, just, and be aware that, because we had a situation where they took up all the time, the other couple, I did know them, and they had just there were concerns about what's gonna happen with the heritage, obviously. But,
I mean, there was something that just ran in my head.
ran right out. Okay. Anything else?
Taking stuff down from next door. No, we can't do that. I'll think of it. Okay, I'm good there.
All right.
And then you've got, okay, you got the next item.
Yeah, so next up on the agenda is discussion consideration referendum education for November.
So in your packet, I included the previous memo that Christina sent out that kind of outlined what we were going to do. I just want to want some direction, see if you guys want to continue in this direction. We have a few more emails scheduled. They're on the November list. Coming up to election day, you've got, let's see, you have...
Referendum quick fact on the 30th.
And you have
and the 3rd.
and the general summary email on the 3rd.
I think that's fine. And I think you just have to get out, it's election day, remember to go vote.
Did I already do that? Like, is that the one that I did?
You're done. You've done them all. And they've been approved by Chapel.
No, Christine was like, thank you.
Yeah, they've all went out at least three. After this, they will have all gone out at least 3 times.
Good. I think that's good.
That may be another blurb we put out on the run for council. It's time to start thinking about it.
Okay.
Save your money.
Okay. Next up we have,
By the way, our lunch is here.
okay.
We could probably get through the reports and action item council comments and then have lunch.
That's fine. I'm gonna take mine with me if I'm that one. So we want to keep going? Or do you guys want your lunch now? And eat and go right through this?
Yeah, let's go through it.
Okay. So we're
Although
under-
I think this next one's gonna take some time, isn't it?
I'll probably be about 15 minutes.
All right, let's get our food.
Okay.
All right, I make a motion to take a recess for 5 minutes. Bob, don't go too far. We're gonna start volunteering you for stuff.
Bring your lunch over. Deliver it.
Who's
Okay,
making-
all those in favor?
Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, thank you, Kim. We're good. We're live.
All right, I make a motion to come back into open session.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up, we had administrator's report, solid waste update.
So in response of the budget retreats that took place in February of this year, council discussed the possible additional service of solid waste collection and recycling to village services. So staff has been entertaining those options and costs for those options, and we've got some good preliminary estimates. Again, they're just estimates, but what we see from a staff level is being able to cut solid waste collection rates to about $12 to $15 per month per household. We still have to figure out how we're going to do that in terms of billing and still a lot of stuff to figure out. But we've also been discussing this with a few different municipalities, Weddington being one of those where we would piggyback to get economies of scale pricing so we could hopefully even get it reduced even further. We've discussed a few advantages of doing this together, which would include those economies of scale pricing, which would be reduced costs for our residents and providing greater quality of service. Basically, we would have reduced stress on the roads. We would have better service, that we would have one vendor coming through as opposed to 3 or 4 or 5 different vendors in one neighborhood, which can provide better quality of service and safety for residents. We've also discussed the possibility of having compressed natural gas trucks, which would be more environmental friendly for residents in our community, would also be more quieter.
It also looked nicer if you only have trash cans out 1 day a week.
That's right. There's also some grant opportunities when we actually do this service ourselves. And we feel like the quality of service would definitely be greater because you'd have a localized service, and we would have more penalties for keeping those vendors accountable in the event that they don't provide the service that we're looking for. So again, we're still assessing options. I just wanted to make sure that council is okay with moving forward with these options and pursuing a partnership or doing it ourselves with Weddington. The way that we would do our bidding was we would do an alternate bid to include services where we would do it ourselves or they would do it themselves or we do it all together so that we could look at the pricing as to how, you know, how much it would cost with piggybacking and have the option to opt out of doing it together if we wanted to.
We had this discussion at WUMA. Mineral Springs, believe it or not, they're still, most of them take their own trash to the trash dump and you pay per bag, believe it or not. So I don't know if you don't have a pickup truck out there, then I don't know how you take waste that's been sitting around. I was asking that question, but that's how they do it there. So they not much interest. Sort of didn't feel the warm and fuzzies with Wesley Chapel, but she was willing to bring it up with her staff. I think Weddington's definitely in favor of something, but I think in the end, you know, we're going to be responsible for our municipality. I was talking to Mayor Elizabeth Callis just the other day because we're trying to get another meeting together with a bunch of mayors. And what she brought up, because this came up, and which I never thought about, is I assume, and Christina, correct me if I'm wrong or not, but then this would be a service, correct?
It would.
It would not be a
So-
tax.
It wouldn't, well, hold on a second.
Okay.
It's a service that's provided and it's paid through how?
It would be an impact fee. There's still discussions about
Impact in
that.
what way?
It would be an enterprise fund, so you're going with ad valorem tax write-off.
Yes.
We're still looking at that.
Okay,
So-
so the thought was that if you can include it in the taxes that you pay
Yeah.
for your ad valorem, and that's a service in part, guess what? It becomes a write-off. And if you can do it that way, I don't know, because we're providing the service, you're paying the tax, you're getting this, well, you can't really write off your this garbage disposal, but maybe this way you can do that. So that, it came up, whether it's legal or not, I thought it's at least pursuing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to put it on that. It would have to be a separate collection,
That's right. We could still, even if that works out.
which becomes more of a logistical
Yeah.
challenge. And, you know, now we're waiting for two payments, one for the, but, you know, and I could see this going on for over a period of time where we can impose it on the roads that we own, you know, because we have justification now, because before it's a public road. Now if they're owed by, we're trying to protect our roads by limiting, and we're also trying to protect the environment by limiting the number of trucks that come on the road. Right now, there could be 3 in your neighborhood 3 times a week. Well, if we own that neighborhood roads, then, you know, we're gonna have a say in that, in the sense that it's kind of like we don't want 18-wheelers coming through here, so. But I thought it was a good angle as well, or a selling feature to the, I think you're gonna get a lot, believe it or not, a lot of pushback from the community about one company. But again, if we go with the environmental thing, protecting of the roads, reducing of payments, which is, you know, who doesn't want their payments now? That all makes sense.
I mean, I talked to some people in my neighborhood about it and they were like, yes. Like, we want to keep the integrity of our roads for as long as we can. It's cleaner. Like, you only have like one company coming through, the environment. They thought it was a great idea. Plus, and they even said, I don't really care if it's cost me the same price. So,
So the timeline that Weddington and I have established together, because we're, you know, again, we're trying to do this jointly, is that we'd like to have a good consensus from our boards, you know, by the end of November, so that we can get some information out that we're going to pursue this. There's some background stuff that we're working on. Basically, there's some statutes out there that say if you displace any solid waste vendors, you have to pay them a certain percentage of their gross revenues. But there's some loopholes that we found to have some deadlines in place, so we could potentially not have to pay that displacement if we give them 15 months notice. So that being said, we're looking at putting a notice out by the end of next month so that we can start that clock.
I think it's, I mean, we've been talking about it for a couple of years. I know we talked about it at our retreat. I think it's a great idea. And I think that if you can move forward with it, I say keep plugging away.
Again, it has so many factors and it's a consistency of what kind of look. I mean, if you think about it, there's some neighborhoods that have trash cans almost every day of the week out on there. I mean, is that what you really want to see when you're driving down in the neighborhood? You know, so that's a
Trying to
big
swerve
part.
around trash cans.
Yeah. So, all right.
So do you have your,
Well,
Consensus?
are you okay with moving
Absolutely.
forward? And Bob?
Bob?
I think we gotta be moving toward that direction, consistently moving toward that direction.
I saw a thumbs up. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm good with that
Next
topic.
up, you have the update on the cost of Newtown road repairs.
Yes. Okay. So y'all had asked me to advise, get DOT to, AMT to advise how much it's gonna cost for repairs on Newtown.
smoke.
Basically, there's two different options here. One is roughly $20,000, one is roughly $200,000.
We can use cowbell funds for that, right?
We can.
Done, make it happen.
So the 20,000 is obviously the lowest cost, and the ditching that you see in there is to improve the
Divots?
drainage and how it's, yes, the divots that we see off the shoulder
Yeah.
are a result of how the drainage is, so that's an area where we would hopefully make those drop-offs a little bit more safer. And the other option is to kind of repair some of the major issues that you've seen. And we don't have to do anything. We can, another option is not do anything until we need to, absolutely need to. And obviously we need to get the shoulders fixed, but as far as the 190 estimate is concerned, we don't have to do all of that now. Now the 20,000, that's definitely something that I would advise we do to reduce our liability on those shoulder drop-offs.
Is this going all the way to this, Marvin School Road? South Carolina?
It should be.
It says wax on Marvin.
Or we're not doing the between the two roundabouts though,
Right, it does say wax on Marvin Road to South Carolina on this number.
But there should be a whole lot.
Christina, can I just ask a question, because as I was talking with Rohit, there's just a little bit of times buffering on the sound.
I'm gonna try to fix that.
So you said, we don't have to do anything right now, but you said something about the drop-offs, there's a liability to us if we took it over and did it.
At the very least, we'd have to fill in those drop-offs. I mean, we could go in and put some gravel in there and it would be gone in a couple of months, and we have to go back and do it again. So, I mean, we could probably put $10,000 in there to do some temporary repairs, but in order to get some of the shoulder issuing resolved, that's the $20,000 quote.
I got you. It's interesting, I was noticing, people are just funny in terms of their driving habits, and I was looking at, the other day, I was making left turn from onto Marvin, and of course, obviously there was the sheriff, deputy sheriff's there, and as I was going really slow, it's interesting to see that drop off that is on in other words, if you're coming from the village hall and you're making a right onto Marvin, there's a drop off there. I mean, I don't know who goes into these holes or continues to go into the holes. I don't know if it's big four-wheelers or if it's 18-wheelers. I don't think it's 18-wheelers. But it's interesting that I thought about this. Do we even need to repair those? Like, does the DOT right now get claims, from people, dropping their alignment and messing up the alignment on their cars because they fall into the holes?
No, do you know how many potholes Mike has run into and popped his tires and nobody's gonna pay for that? I mean, Charlotte ain't gonna pay for
You have
that.
the opportunity to go to DOT though.
Sure, but I mean, he's done it in Charlotte. Charlotte's not gonna pay for new tires.
They don't come to us, to answer your question. They will come to us, but it's not our road, so we don't have the liability. But once it is our roads, we do have to maintain it. If we know of an issue,
Yeah.
and then someone gets hurt and we neglect to fix that issue, then we do have a liability. But we have to know of the incident first.
But that drop off wouldn't be our liability, cause that's not, wouldn't be that, hold on. DOT said they weren't gonna give us that stretch down there.
He's talking about it there.
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh, yeah,
Because
they
it
did.
says to wax on Marvin, and you said, oh, it's not gonna be that
Yeah.
much more to go. Well, they said they weren't gonna give it to us.
Yeah, he's still looking into that to see if they will,
You
but
see
yes.
why they said no?
Yes.
That is so stupid.
Why did they say no?
They're looking into it.
Okay.
Because they wanna maintain control. Unless we
So
wanna
in the
take
end, they
over
still
full
have
ownership of
control
the
after we
roundabout.
spend all this money. So, my first glance at
Okay,
this,
but I can put lights on. I mean,
Kim's like sold.
we take over the road and stuff without any commitments yet, technically, on a roundabout. So
oh, I mean, we're gonna find that out. I think we just kind of keep, I mean, we've got this in the back of our, like,
Yeah,
pocket
but
now. We know the cost.
until it's done, it's, you know, they can say in the meeting that's coming up that we're gonna vote on at TRTPO.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's in play, and then all of a sudden, a
But,
hurricane comes through and it's like, it's out again and stuff, so until it's
but
done.
this process is still gonna take us a couple of months, correct? So we just keep moving the ball forward, and we find out this answer down here.
If I'm on the outside looking in and I'm a taxpayer and this has been a DOT thing, that $200,000, just opinion of one and how you look at this. If I'm a taxpayer and I'm in a neighborhood and I'm waiting for my roads to get done, do I want to see my tax dollars going to improving this road that 14,000 people go on, or to improving my neighborhood first?
Well, we don't necessarily have to do the 200,000 right now.
Understand?
So I think we just keep
Again,
moving
before we
it
spend a
forward.
dime on anything, it's just as DOT has told us, and Jamie, you remember this. When we
Yeah,
had
yeah.
when we had our roads in Firethorn, before we could turn them over to the state, we had to bring them up to the state standard, which we ponied up almost $200,000. So we had to make the improvements. So why isn't it exactly the opposite? If we're gonna take over their roads, why aren't they gonna do these improvements just to be up to standard? We're crazy, and I think we're talking to the wrong people. No offense to the Mike Waldens of the world and whoever's the DOT that's involved in this, or the DOT people, but I'm looking at going to different levels of government officials, Raleigh, that just say, look, we're willing to take this off of your hands and get it off of your docket, and we'll be responsible for it. But get that roundabout done and get it up to speed, and then it becomes ours. And then we can impose the so many axle vehicles that can come through here and get all that stuff done. But we still have to do the process, you're right. But this is really, this money, that 190, as far as I'm concerned, and it's the opinion of one, that's DOT's responsibility. They are supposed to turn over roads to us that are in good condition. Then you don't buy a lemon and then just expect to pay for it. You want the car working.
And DOT will pay for that, but they're not paying for it now. So if council wants to proceed with accepting that road now, then that's what we're looking at.
So you say they'll pay for that, but we have an agreement with them?
No, we don't.
So wait, did you say NCDOT would pay for this?
If council wanted to wait until they got it serviced on their own dime,
Oh, so
Well, it could be 15 years.
yes, it could be.
But the incentive is, we want to take this road over now. Get that
That's right.
roundabout done first. We want to take this road over now. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Because, trust me, they want nothing worse to get rid of roads and responsibility of roads. That's considered what, a secondary road? This?
I have no idea. When we have the conference call with DOT, if y'all want to talk about this too, we can do that as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
And then, Joe, we'll put you on calling up the chain.
Yeah, I mean, after the election, which is in a week, we're gonna have some new people, hopefully in office up at that level that some of us know personally, and maybe it's just figuring out the dots over there and stuff, because there's no reason. In fact, what I was told by one of the people running, he goes, there's no way I would do anything without some sort of, agreement. You do this, we'll do that type thing, versus us just doing it with the hope that they're gonna eventually pay for it, or we're just hoping and praying that that roundabout comes in. So, they'll work with us.
Okay,
I'm sure.
we'll get that scheduled. I do have one more thing that's not on your agenda. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. No actions being requested this time, but you can pass that around. we've gotten to the point with our parks and recreation staff and programming that at some point in the very near future, we're gonna need to purchase a vehicle. We have been relying on our staff to use their own vehicles for our purposes, and we've just gotten to the point where it's just gotten too much. We're relying on one person to have a truck for our purposes, and you know, they've been willing to do that, but at some point they're going to be, you know, they're going to be willing not to do that. And now that we've got 2 staff members and we're taking on additional parks, Marvin Gardens is going to have a little pocket park that we have to maintain. And so it's not just a one mobilized area right now where we can call vendors in and get what we need. We're going to need to have something in the works in the next probably year or less to get them something. We've looked into the cost. We can piggyback off of the state contract and get a brand new truck for roughly $25,000, and it would add roughly, the insurance is going to be $250 annual premium and $56 for those type of vehicles that we're looking at. So it's not a huge insurance cost. The vehicle itself, brand new truck for $25,000. It's a 2020 Ford F-150 extended cab base model.
So,
Just wanted to bring it to your attention. We obviously don't have funding this year, unless y'all want to pull it out of fund balance. We can put it in next year's budget.
Can Powell pay for it?
I will say that I'm in the market, and Derek and I talked about this, and I said, you know, I know there are deals, because I'm looking at the exact same vehicle, but probably a little bit thing. They are doing deals on 2020 where 0% financing, which is a payment every month over 3 years. There's some incentives and there could be some incentives from others, but I think the agreement is through a Raleigh dealership, if I'm not mistaken, that has the government contract.
Yes.
Price was very low, I thought, and you know, getting a used car, why get someone else's problems? You get the warranty. You're paying the 5 years. You're not going to be putting on. Usually, standard warranty is 50,000 miles. I don't see us putting 10,000 miles on in the village of Marvin on a year, and maybe we get close to that. But we got to think about who would be to insured on it, and whether it's Rohit going out to a site visit or Derek using it for what he does, or for just transportation of grass lawnmower machines, that type of thing. But we got to think about where it's. I'm for this, by the way, because we can't continue to rely on someone else's. We just happen to have someone who has a pickup truck that has a hitch on it. So all that said, I'm in favor of getting some, again, harder numbers if there are better numbers or incentive. And let's just see what we can do. We can put it, if we can put it in this year's budget, that's great. If not, we definitely want to.
Well, if we're looking at leasing it, there's probably a way that I can figure it out in this year's budget, and we can
Well,
get
not
those
necessarily leasing it.
numbers. I'm
but-
sorry, not lease financing. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
financing it.
Well, the finance is just, I mean, why wouldn't you pay, you know,
Yeah.
we could hold out
0%
0% interest. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Is this price like a finance option?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll look into
Let's
that.
find that out. Listen, I get it. We've been talking about this for a couple of years now, so I'm fine with this too. But I definitely think if we could finance it for 0% and spread that out.
Okay, we'll look into it.
And if we looked at the total math of it, because the lease may be an option in the sense that if you don't put the mileage on it. So if the mileage is low enough, that may be an option to look at, because if, you know, you don't have to worry about the warranties and, you know.
We would definitely have like the village,
Yeah.
seal, like
Yeah.
not just the magnet, but we would have. it,
Limited
like,
number
on
of
there.
drivers to it, and then that does not go home with the employee at any time. Meaning, other than if he had to stop by to grab something at the house and stuff, it would have to be probably parked at Village Hall or at the.
Can I take it
I
off Friday?
thought about the four-wheeling, you can go four-wheeling, you know. Or over at, you know, I mean, I thought about that, do we need to incorporate an enclosed, you know, at the Village Hall where the truck can park, or we just put it out, you know, in the parking lot there or something like that, but, you know.
And that's all.
Or at the park, I guess.
And Christina just said, I'm done with this topic, let's move
Okay,
on.
no, but this is important, because I think, you know, let you know we're thinking about that type of thing that
That's
it
exactly
doesn't go
what you just
unnoticed.
said.
Okay. Next up, we have planners report.
Okay, sure. I guess before we move on, I wouldn't consider using that truck for zoning site visits. I heard you mention that, but unless it for some reason required hauling something, so I would let Derek just have that. My first topic here is dedication of Marvin Gardens Park. One of the primary reasons why, I mean, obviously we needed that truck, but this is right on, we're on the heels of getting a new park, where Derek's expressed that he needs, transportation for maintenance of that extra park. But the issue here is actually that the developer of Marvin Gardens has said that in the past, the council actually changed their mind about wanting that park because of that maintenance issue, because we didn't have a vehicle, we didn't have a way to maintain that park, so a previous council voted to not take that park after all. And I came to him and said, well, no, I think this council would be pretty warm to it, but he said, okay, we will give you a deed of ownership of that park if you come back with a motion or, a resolution that the council does in fact want this park. All I'm requesting here is that, can we talk about at the PRG meeting next week and the following council meeting, whether we do in fact, want to take this park.
So the only thing I'll say to that is that there was a little bit of discussion on Coffee with Council of that becoming a place where kids go.
Druggies.
Right.
And who's got to monitor that? Do we put that on Publix to manage that where they?
Well, no, it would be on us. But it's mostly that issue because they left all the trees in that area. They just put a fence. They didn't do anything with that 1 acre other than build the parking spaces and the trail, which is now dark because it's kind of an alcove of trees. In the event that we do take that park and we do develop that park, it would not be an alcove like that anymore, and we could even put streetlights if that was what we wanted to do with it. So that wouldn't be an issue once we do.
Okay,
develop it.
you're going to talk about this in when?
Well,
PRG's
PRG is next week,
Tuesday.
and then the council meeting is the following week.
And I know I was just there, but I'd like to actually walk it and see and get an idea.
Mhm.
I'd actually want to go over there and if you can,
Sure, we
Maybe
can set up
take
a
some
Is it
time.
time.
wooded
and-
still?
you and I
It's
just go
mostly-
over there if anyone wants to
But
join
there's a
us.
way to walk.
I just want to
through.
see what we're looking at, and
Sure.
obviously, council, you pipe in of what.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
no.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was pretty much done. I just want to go back,
Pretty
take
much somebody's gonna
another
keep
set of
talking.
eyes on it, and
Yeah.
kind of look. Is what we did over at the other neighborhood. All of a sudden, now we're replacing that parking lot with
Right.
an area that can't be used anymore. So it's like, okay,
Well, this parking lot wouldn't be suitable for the donuts that we're doing at Tullamore's. It's also not gravel, it's paved.
right.
So that's nice.
Do you have the picture from PRG where you asked us to say, okay, we were good with the T versus the
Yeah,
round? So,
yeah,
I'm not saying Joe still should go and look at it, but this can kind of give him a better
Yeah,
feel
for today, yes.
today.
Sure.
Cause that did help me, and so when I drove by it, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, I got it.
So you in favor of taking this over? or-
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be a great little pocket park there. And park,
It's fine, it's just
PRG
once you
does.
put a shovel to it,
I know.
then it comes into the budget and stuff.
But we're talking about how much park space do we need per person, per 1,000 people or whatever we were
4
talking
or
about?
5.
I think we're talking about one
That's for
per
commercial.
100 people. So
Okay,
70 acres of park space is the goal.
right. So this just helps get us there.
Mhm. 1 second, I can't walk and talk with the server, like finding stuff in the server.
We can't walk
Hey,
and
Joe.
talk with that
We need
anyway.
to cancel the Senate proclamation.
Joe, you can go. It's not like you have a vote in anything.
Oh, alright.
Savage.
Just reminded me that when I'm late, it's on
I can
meeting
refill it.
minutes.
Yep.
Yep.
When you leave early, it'll be
Leave
on the
early.
minute.
Anything good?
I can refill it, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, I don't like any of that stuff. Let's find some better stuff.
So here's the part.
I swear, anybody listening to me thinks I'm so mean and just,
I know, trust me, I get the comments. Who's this kangaroo?
he's so mean to you. Sorry, Rohit, go.
Okay, so here's the park, the 1.5, let me start annotating. The 1.5 acres, 1.05 acres, basically 1 acre. It includes,
Parking lot.
it includes the parking lot. And it also, there's kind of this, I went out there and there's kind of a hill here. So I would estimate there's a row of landscaping that comes out to about here. So from this green line, let's see,
Excuse me, thank you.
and if you want to include this trail, it's now built and they did realign,
Excuse me, thank you.
they did realign that trail so that it does connect all the way up to the sidewalk that they have. So this would be our buildable area essentially. It's slightly less than an acre, but I mean it's a pretty good size for something that the PRNG board will deliberate certain options on. It's pretty flat as well. It's pretty high ground, so there's not going to be any flooding issues.
Do we have to maintain that parking lot if they dedicate it?
We would. It would be in our. It would be our property. Like we would own that 1 acre.
I don't know that.
Is that lot for the park?
Yes, it's in their zoning
I
regulations.
think there was a little
that
concern from the neighborhood of Weddington Chase about what happens.
I mean, it doesn't matter at this point, like, it's there, like.
Right, it's actually there now. The parking lot's built, the trail's built. Weddington Chase is going to. Well, Weddington Chase has already been given the $5,000 to build a sidewalk, and they could either build it up to here through their property or along Providence Road. I told them, building it through their property would make it so that the only person they have to deal with is their HOA. If they did Providence
Oh,
Road
right,
sidewalk, they'd have to deal
DOT.
with deal with DOT.
Which could get changed with the widening, right?
Right.
And what side are we talking about, where the sidewalk ends up on?
Where the sidewalk
To
ends?
be decided.
We couldn't go on either side. Where the sidewalk is,
Yes.
on east or west side.
Well, there's a sidewalk.
Stop it.
There's a sidewalk on one side and a trail on the other, but that's many years down the line. I guess the point is that it's possible that Weddington Chase will tie into this trail that does exist, and it goes all the way to the property line of Weddington Chase HOA and the park. So there would be a nice little sidewalk connection from Weddington Chase to our park.
Yeah, I just, do we plan to, with what's in there, within that green area? So just a bunch of, I can't remember, there's a
It's just
tree.
a bunch
It's just a bunch of trees and bushes.
Little
So it's-
shrubs.
Okay, so it's really, we'll be hiring someone to come in there and create a pocket park out of it?
Yes, and the PRNG board is going to be deliberating options, but even before that, we'd need a council resolution or motion perhaps to accept the dedication of that property, because the developer saw that previous council did not want that park.
Bob, where are you at on that? We'll give you a minute.
All right, that's good. Good comment.
All right,
I mean, I'm just looking along with you guys.
what's that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just. Go ahead.
No, we're waiting on you, there's a little delay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, we're waiting on you for any comments.
No, I mean, I'm just listening.
Jamie?
Listen, I'm with Ken. I mean, you've got a ratio that you're trying to get to, and we're not in the opportunities to do it. And it's a way to, way to work through that.
Okay.
Rohit, I see on Park Rec and Greenway that you've got Pocket Park on here that you're gonna talk about. I know that we talked about coming up with some ideas. Have you guys come up with any ideas of what exactly to put there, or?
Other than some of the things that were favored in the survey, we haven't really internally discussed
Okay.
options.
Okay.
Do you want us to between now and then?
I mean, probably be good to come up with a couple ideas.
I think that would be good.
Yeah,
To,
I think I need to go with Derek about that then.
Yeah.
But do you need a motion then?
Not right now.
But you want a motion for the resolution?
Yeah, in the November 10th or meeting or so, they do want some sort of, official.
Well, then do you want us to
confirmation that
just
we're gonna get-
consensus you to say that we're good with it and you can put the resolution on the consent agenda?
That would be, yeah, that would be
Yeah,
good.
we're fine with that.
I'm good with
Okay.
that. Bob, you good with that?
I'm good with that.
So do we
Okay,
need a motion to,
we just,
Consent, yeah,
consensus?
consensus
to put it on the
to
consent?
put it on, yeah. put
Yeah,
on
so let's do
November
that, let's do a motion,
Consent
put it on the
agenda,
consent agenda. Someone wanna give that motion?
I'll make a motion to put it on the consent agenda.
To put the dedication
10th. Yeah,
of
to
the
accept
pocket
dedication
park
of the property.
from the Marvin Gardens.
Yeah, what
Okay.
Joe just
Further
said.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Why didn't you just say it, not us to you?
Well, because I'm not supposed to be doing motions. I don't have a vote till Tuesday.
Have you not voted yet?
No, I said if the public will allow me to
Oh.
vote.
Well, as effectively the chair, you have you can request motions.
I'm gonna keep voting anyways, regardless if I don't get a vote, I'll just make, it won't count, but I'll just keep saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. That means I'm good for this item on the planner's report.
Okay, well,
Hold on.
Yeah.
one more thing that came up though.
Lighting,
No,
yes.
didn't didn't Publix request something to, let people know that this is the Village of Marvin on their sign? Cause you
Oh,
were
yeah.
looking
Yeah,
at
that's gonna be on the
corner.
planning board agenda for,
Okay, okay, I didn't know if that was,
because it's under their
Sign.
purview.
Their
just for the
signage
record,
review.
that they're
Yeah.
cutting, ribbon cutting, they asked if we could put something that refers to Village of Marvin, you know, type thing, so.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be. And since they're the design review board, they would approve any additional signs. So they're gonna have like a kind of sort of pseudo pre-application meeting at the next planning board meeting.
Perfect. With this, it's gonna need to be lit.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, come with what our options are, come with where the light should go,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing, because it's definitely, I'm sure it's very dark in that corner.
Mm-hmm. It's an alcove. It's a pretty deep alcove.
It is, it's very deep.
Mature trees.
Yeah.
So.
But you should definitely go over there and walk it.
Yeah, I will.
Because I
I
drove-
walked that whole property, I was sad to see some big trees go, but it is what it is.
Not really.
Okay.
It's just like this is trees, that's trees.
There's just
Are
surrounding.
they trees worth keeping, or are they?
Well,
just-
the right side of the picture isn't a tree saver, so we have to keep them. The south side is the Weddington Chase HOA, so that's not in our control. And of course, the left side is our park, which we must intend to clear some trees in order to
Right.
make it a park.
Okay,
So that's where we're at with that.
all right. All right, next, that's all you had?
Yeah, that's all I had with
It
that.
says 20, okay, next up then, we have update our Union County 2050 comprehensive plan.
Okay, so, the Union County, planning is, almost done with their comprehensive plan. They got their final drafts and they're soliciting public input, kind of similar to where we are in our process. Their public input phase is gonna be late November to mid-December, but they would like to have a special meeting for the municipalities to, specifically just the councils of the municipalities to ask them, the planning staff, various questions, to get together and, get answers on some of the land uses that they're proposing. In the WUMA, one of the objectives is to have this sphere of influence where there are some very small areas the county thinks that we could have development regulation over, but Weddington was trying to propose that we have influence over the entire areas that are between our municipalities and kind of split them down the middle so that we'd have regulation on our side and they would on their side. That's kind of one of the big things that they're trying to ask the county before they adopt this new land use plan. Other than that, I really don't have any comments other than to tell you that they're going to be soliciting input both from the general public and from the council of the municipality.
And while we're on the subject, in WUMA, we just so you know that we were ahead of where the rest of a lot of these communities are in the ETJs. So I think we can do both, and we can do our little pockets of things, but then also come together. And I think Christina, you were going to look into getting because what's not happening is you're not getting the minutes and stuff of what's kind of happening. But if we confirm that we're okay and we have Chaplain review the bigger picture of ETJs and how we have communities work together, we'll do that in conjunction with the smaller concerns that we have and stuff. But that did come up at WUMA, but again, we're further ahead than other communities are. On
Because
this
we have a
ETJ.
parcel level boundary already. I think Minnow Springs and Wesley Chapel, we're just talking about conceptually, we would like to control the area outside. But then, you know, between us and between us and Weddington, we would say this is our sphere of influence. That even if we don't annex these properties in the light blue area, we would actually want development regulation of all of these properties starting from today. And that's what you would apply, we would apply to the county, and then Weddington would apply for the other side of that boundary.
So ETJs are good?
No, we have to fight.
No. ETJs are good to have.
Oh, yes, they're good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I said we should have one a couple years ago, and everybody poo-pooed me. I'm just gonna say it every time we talk about it.
It was a good idea then, it's a good idea now.
Thank you, Rohit.
That's all she was looking for.
Yep.
Okay. Affirmation.
Oh.
Who's that?
All right, great meeting, everybody. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Just kidding, Andy.
Sorry, everybody.
You're fine.
Real for the record, Andy
You're
has joined us. Here's your lunch.
Thanks.
You actually do have
Your
food
lunch
in
is
the kitchen.
in there.
In there, where am I sitting? Down
Right
here?
there.
Yeah.
All that stuff's yours.
Yay!
For the record.
We actually hadn't started yet. We're waiting for you to get
You got the whole meeting ahead of you, Andy.
So for the record, Andy has joined us. Make sure that goes in the
12:23 p.m. I got it. All right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I just will give you another update when we have that date for the council.
Oh, so they want to have like a meeting with just each individual municipality.
Well, we were talking about that, but then I suggested, you know, we were having a municipal planners meeting, and I suggested let's just have a joint meeting with all the councils, or maybe a couple of them. So they don't have to have a meeting with each individual council, because there's 14 municipalities.
Yeah, or our WUMA representatives
Yeah.
could just do it.
Well, this is WUMA, since everybody's there already representing our interests. Good idea.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it saves them a lot of coordinating meetings.
Saves me some trouble too.
What'd you say?
Saves me some trouble too.
Saves me some trouble.
Maybe you can go and speak on our behalf, since you're so vocal for years.
No. Is that it? Okay. Again, Christina's like, moving on.
On that, but I did have another couple of items I was requested to add. One of them was to discuss, well, actually, if everyone's done with that, I have another two.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'll talk about the, Abington first. So, I was gonna talk about the Abington, rezoning request that was submitted, but we kind of talked about that a pretty good deal in a previous agenda item, so do I need to talk about that, where it is and what it is?
What?
Nobody's familiar with what you're talking about.
It's
Okay. The county received that rezoning request at the southeast corner of Newtown Road and Providence.
Oh,
The 300.
Yeah, 310 apartments on 19 acres, which is a density of 16 units per acre. That's just hit the planning staff, so it's basically the process is not even really started, but it's really early, so you could you have time to compose your opinions, and when it gets to the point where it starts the process, you could petition the county to reject the rezoning, as it's not consistent with many different resolutions that we've passed here opposing high-density
Just
housing.
for the record, Kim and I were pretty vocal at the coffee with council. They were asking us about it. I said, look, we're just seeing this for the first time, but there's, in my view, no interest in having that kind of density of
Agreed.
apartments, but,
Mhm.
and then you'll see a fight most likely from Weddington Chase as well as,
You've got Thurl
Weddington.
Farms, you've got Providence Glen, you've got all like Weddington, right? Because it's in
Right.
Weddington, right?
It's in Weddington's sphere of influence, if you want to call it that. It's
Oh, it's
I mean,
unincorporated.
it is
It's
unincorporated.
unincorporated,
If I were to draw Weddington's boundary, let's see. Weddington's boundary looks like this. So this is unincorporated. Let me draw
Yeah.
that here. This is unincorporated, and that's where the rezoning request is.
Yeah.
So it's very tightly kind of adjacent to both Marvin and Weddington, and I think we're aware that Weddington is just about as opposed to high density development as Marvin is.
So in a nutshell, it's still in the very preliminary phases at the staff level. The process that remains after the staff does its thing
starts the process.
is the scheduling of a public hearing. The public hearing has to take place.
But when you say staff level, you mean at the county staff
Yes.
level,
Yes,
not
yes.
our level.
Yeah, we have nothing to do with it.
I just,
I'm just, yes,
Yes.
yes.
that just needs to be clarified.
So
Right, it just hit the county
Yeah, we had-
planning staff level.
Pretty slow about it.
They just found this
It's
about
very,
Tuesday.
very early. It just hit the county planning staff maybe a few weeks ago, I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted
but-
everybody to
yeah.
clarify that it's not
Right.
us, it's the
Right.
county.
So the process that would remain after that is the scheduling of a public hearing to be had for the rezoning. And at that point, once we know that information, we could do a resolution of opposition similar to what we did for Park Place, in
Right.
conjunction with Weddington, if that's what council desires to do.
Do they not have to have public input meetings before public hearing?
They do, they have to have at
Okay.
least 2 public input meetings,
Okay.
and then the planning board meeting and the public hearing.
So
We haven't
as,
even got to that point.
Right.
no, but as we get that information, because I'm sure you're gonna be getting this information.
Yeah, I'll be keeping my
We
ear to the
need to
county.
then, at that point, be letting all of the residents around there
We can put a
know.
board out.
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's what we talked
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Citizens
Heads up.
over there with the torches and pitchforks at the public.
That's fine.
Are we supplying the pitchfork?
Just off the pitchforks.
But, I mean, similarly, I guess we also mentioned this in the copy of council, but there was a rezoning request a while ago. If I can zoom out here. There was a rezoning request for 46 houses on 9 acres over here. Eventually, myself and the Waxhaw planning director got together and coordinated like statements of opposition. We submitted that to the county, and that rezoning request was rejected by the county commission. We said a lot of things, our opposition to high density, poor traffic on Providence Road, and just a poor site plan in general. And so, that was so 46 on 9 acres is just over 5 units per acre, and if that was killable, then,
What was it,
in-
17?
yeah, it was over 16 units per acre, yeah, that's
Jesus.
probably also killable, if we, organize.
We can organize.
Who's getting
We'll
the
report back to y'all whenever we get more information on that.
Right, it's just very early, and I think we're doing a good job getting ahead of, this and making sure everyone knows that it's also really early, because that was also, running around in conversation with the Weddington Chase Gates.
Yeah, they already knew about it before we knew, so how that happened.
Right.
All right, you said you had something else as well?
Yes, we were also talking about the WUMA meeting, the Oak Grove Estates rezoning.
That's Mineral Springs, right?
Yeah, that's kind of halfway between Mineral Springs and Wesley Chapel. I'm gonna have to go over to Google Maps. But that's a rezoning request for housing that Mineral Springs brought up at in Wesley Chapel. They brought up at the WUMA meeting for us to also, similar to Park Place, help them refuse a high-density housing rezoning request. I have to go to Google.
Is it in Mineral Springs?
No,
or-
it's in the unincorporated county. It's halfway between.
And this is part of the ETJ ask that we're having. First of all, if communities can agree, municipalities of who would take on that authority, why, and it takes it off their docket. It becomes more, something for the municipalities to deal with rather than county, it's scary because they want to know what's in it for them, they would relinquish that right to do what they want to do. And we're saying, well, we should have a say in all of this. So we're just supporting other municipalities is what I think Croydon's getting to.
Right.
Because it really doesn't affect our
Somewhere in
town.
this area,
It's
not
just-
sure exactly where.
So it's pretty far away from us.
Yeah,
Just us supporting another municipality.
right, that's all.
That's the
it
whole
is.
idea of this WUMA thing is that we all get together, stand our ground with the unincorporated parcels that are around us that affect us.
Yeah, it's somewhere in this area, and I forget exactly what intersection it's at, but it's somewhere in between Mineral Springs and Wesley Chapel, and that's just something that they brought up for us to help them support the rejection of that.
Fantastic.
So are you asking for direction to prepare a resolution of opposition?
I don't know. I guess so, right?
They haven't asked for it yet.
They
Yeah.
have asked for it. They
they
sent
did?
me an email yesterday with all the information.
Okay.
Okay.
So then-
And I
Well,
thought,
yeah,
I already
Did
CC'd
you
you on it.
see?
So you guys can prepare it,
Prepare it.
Mhm.
Put it on the
bring it
works.
on, yep, for the next meeting.
Yep, okay. Anything else?
That's all for my planners report
All right.
today. Thank
I'm
you.
spelling
you.
Adams and all.
Next.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
Okay.
There might be a site plan somewhere.
Waiting on you, princess, let's go.
Oh, me? I thought he was looking for something.
No, 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 you're
Yeah, we're done, we're done.
All right.
We're just doing this.
We're doing administrative things.
Princess now.
Wow.
I'll
Already
find
the
it.
big
Not that we're gonna talk about gender right now. Review of action, next up is agenda items, review of action items, ongoing action item spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
like-
I got most of them, but Christina, you'll probably catch a few.
Again,
too.
if I don't pick on you, you should be worried.
Okay, so here's what I have. Derek will get additional info on flooding solutions for the Marvin Loop Trail. Christina, let's see, will work with DOT and see if we can get the no left turn sign extended to 7 p.m. Andy, I need to talk with you about the meeting schedule and holiday schedule for 2021 to make sure it's okay with you. The times actually only said 10 a.m. They should be 9 a.m.
Okay.
But
We'll talk
it's
later.
in your packet and you'll see,
Okay.
just confirm with him all those dates work.
Mhm.
And if they don't, we'll bring it up, we'll pull it from the, it's
We're-
like
we're-
on an agenda.
We're gonna put it on the regular
Until I
agenda
get there
anyway.
and then it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
We get that.
Okay, so let's see. So, staff in general will have coffee and donuts and kind bars in the AM and coffee, just coffee and PM for coffee of council. Can we sign the proclamation? Don't need to do anything else with that. I will look more into the remote sign-in policy. Or hitting myself will prepare for the public hearing for the 7-11 text amendments. I will schedule the communications agreed to today. Christina will look into financing options for a work truck for park staff. And Rohit will prepare a resolution on Oak Grove. What did you have, Christina?
Conference call with NCDOT, youth cancel information,
Oh, yeah.
temporary stop signs at Wyndham Hall, temporary speed tables. Ideas generated for the Marvin Gardens Park via staff level.
DOT happens to be over there in Mason.
And resolution of support for the park dedication, and then resolution of opposition for Mineral Springs.
Okay.
All good? All right.
And then you got the ongoing spreadsheet.
Alright, I feel like you can combine, is street lights the same thing as roundabout lighting?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, it is, but unless you're talking about the street policy.
I think I'm talking about streetlight policy,
Okay.
which I have on the next agenda.
Okay.
What do we find out about the civil penalties for motorized vehicles on trails?
We haven't had time to look into
Okay.
that.
Signs, are we done with signs? Village signs?
We've ordered them, we have not put them up yet.
This is the,
Okay.
no, so then she's talking about the meeting with Mike on like the footers with Ross signs.
Yeah, same
Oh,
thing,
okay.
we're doing it all together.
Oh, okay. I'll be
Yeah.
sure.
I I feel like we can do HOA meetings and mailers for annexation with voluntary annexation plan.
We're still in we haven't sent the letters
I
out.
know, but we have two of them.
Oh,
Should they,
combine them,
Yeah.
I mean.
Where?
the third one down, and then like the middle of the thing. Voluntary annexation
Oh,
plan
okay.
and HOA meetings and mailers.
So just take one of them off?
We'll
Or
combine them.
Combine them.
Okay.
And then Rohit, you're not gonna know anything about the third roundabout by the November 10th meeting.
I will, and if TCC votes on it, then I will know what they voted for on
I
it.
thought it was after that, after our meeting.
That's the full board. They're meeting on the 18th, but TCC votes on November 5th.
Oh, cool, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we'll have at least staff updates.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, I'm good.
Alright. Alright, finally, then we got, council comments. Bob, start with you.
Sure. I'm just going to basically say that I'm going to kind of echo Councilman Lyon. I am just real impressed with us. Transparency of, these emails, the communications. I'm getting the same feedback from everybody that it's like this has never ever been. I mean, we just communicating all over the place. The reason I personally like it is not only for that, but it delineates between anybody else sending any other information out, that you know what our design looks like and you know what theirs is. And that said, in the same vein, which I gave a compliment to Rohit, he's not our audio-visual technical advisor here. I mean, he's just learning how to, and whatever in his past made him be able to transmit these Cisco WebEx meetings. But everybody has now a window to what goes on in this stuff that never ever was before. And I'm telling you right now, if somebody doesn't know what's going on, they just don't care. I mean, or either they're not on the email list, it's one of the two, because it's there. I know for a fact that some prior phone calls leading up to this meeting from obviously Weddington Che, it was so easy to say, hey, just jump in there. We'll be talking about it, and you'll be able to see the process in action. And it was so nice to be able to do that. So I'm just going to laud the transparency and what the team has done. So great job again to staff, especially to you, Austin, or Rohit. I guess you came out last night with all the paperwork. Thank you for keeping us abreast on form and producing all this paper for us to follow. So that's what I've got. And by the way, good kudos to Publix that opened up. I think they had a nice opening. It's a very nice store. It's a very nice location. Represents Marvin well.
Thank you, Bob. You have any comments?
Thank you.
Yeah, great meeting, guys. Thanks for having support. I did want to ask just one question, just on the WUMA thing. Should we just reach out to all the delegates on the CRTPO board as a reminder before the meeting?
Yes.
Is that a good idea to do that?
We talked about it at the meeting.
We talked about it, but
Some of them weren't aware of the upcoming vote.
right, so just, can we put out a reminder to the other delegates that, getting closer to the meeting so they remember to
I will.
go.
To remind WUMA delegates of,
The upcoming CRTPO meeting in November, which we will have a vote on, but, it's basically, we're back on the list to get this
yeah,
done, so.
And
Yeah, got
that's basically all I got.
Are y'all asking staff to do anything? Do we need to prepare like any emails, or do y'all?
I don't think so. It's us, reaching out to who we know that are voting members. I mean, at the end of the day, Charlotte has majority vote anyway, so.
But
And
do-
it,
But
Do
I
we
mean,
meet again
staff,
before
I
that?
mean, staff may just want to reach out to like, who's on there,
Rohit's got the contact list for his TCC.
Yeah,
but,
so
I mean,
just
don't know.
encourage
I don't
an
have any
affirmative
board
vote
contacts.
on,
Yeah.
or Marvin Village
Do we have another
Council
meeting?
encourages
before the
a affirmative vote. on-
We have another meeting of council before the board vote if they, the board votes on
Yeah.
The
November
WOO meeting is
18th.
until after the board vote.
16th,
though.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's after that's, all I just wanna make sure is that the delegates remember the meeting.
Yeah, a lot of them don't always go to every meeting and stuff,
Right.
but it's.
That was.
Is there staff direction there, or?
No,
Okay,
there's
I wanna be
not.
sure.
So
Okay.
you guys getting up with your peeps saying, go.
Yeah, I mean, but Rohit has a list, and I would say just in that little blurb that you send out, we would appreciate, the council, village council would appreciate
So
an
there is
affirmative
staff
vote
direction.
on the upcoming,
Mhm.
assuming that the group before them votes positive on this.
wait, Rohit's gonna do his thing with his TCC board.
Right,
Y'all are gonna do your thing with your CRTPO delegates.
okay.
Is that the direction?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Do you need us to do anything?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Other than me reaching out to local
Yeah.
area. TCC.
I'll probably
but
wait to
that's
see
completely
what
two
the
separate things.
TCC board says first.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then we'll circle back around right after that, because there's a lull between their vote
Yes.
and the thing.
we'll put some reminders in your calendar so we
Please.
won't forget.
Okay,
No,
all right. Jamie?
No, great job to everybody, council, to staff. I'm just pleased and excited about progress and all the things we're getting accomplished and addressing along the way. It's a pleasure to work with staff and everyone on the council. And again, thanks to all the boards that come together to push this stuff up, the planning board, and to all involved. A great job.
Thank you. Kim?
I'm good.
Good? Okay. For myself, again, I talked about, we just had a little bit of a scare here with the wind and stuff, so I think it just makes common sense that adding a generator for Village Hall, when we do get in discussions of building our town hall, which I'm looking forward to. That being said, our meeting with Mr. Fincher and George went very well, and I appreciate their time and their willingness to be open to this. And I would like to remind the public that we are still at just the idea stage, and they're just ideas. I think what they came with the first glance of what this is something to, it's a starting point for the committee that we formed, as well as the planning board, and we just figure out what makes best sense. But thank them for their time, and also his willingness to donate land to us if we were going to build there. So anxious to see how that turns out. We had an updated WUMA. That was a very good, very productive meeting that we talked about earlier, so I won't have to talk on that. The ribbon cutting ceremony, to whoever, I think Bob mentioned, was a great event. They had some great ideas there about being involved in the community. There's certainly a group we can tap into when we have our annual, going forward, our annual national night out, as far as, hitting up for, I know we've done that in the past to other communities. And I would encourage and I'm not saying this because they're Publix, if it was a competitor, a Teeter, and it was in Marvin, I would encourage our residents to use that. And the reason I say that is every dollar spent there tax-wise, and I don't think they tax on food here, do they? In North
Should be a
Carolina?
small tax.
It's a small tax. Anyway, that whole area, that development, actually, that goes to Monroe then disperses it back out. So it actually helps our, from a tax dollar standpoint, those dollars go to our schools. So that's why I'm encouraging, not because I'm in favor of necessary Publix over someone else. And just a heads up, next week we're getting together, the mayors are coming together, kind of getting the old band back together, but we're also involving Bjorn at this meeting next Friday, 1:30 over at Weddington.
All the mayors?
Mayor
All
of,
of them?
not all of them, but mayor of, I think, Wesley Chapel, or pro tem mayor, myself, Weddington, Mineral Springs, and then Bjorn will be there, and then a county commissioner. And what we're basically going to be discussing is the whole corridor of 74. and the expansion, what, everything they're doing, it's like overnight, the whole thing has doubled in cost. And we're wondering, just, you know, we usually go along with what their recommendations are, and I think it's just a discussion point.
74?
74, the widening of 74 and everything that they're doing, but the cost on it, or maybe it's, I don't know, I'm almost positive, or is it?
16?
16, okay.
Okay, 74
I was a little confused.
My apologies, see, I shouldn't sleep that much, because apparently.
So you're talking private insurance?
Yes, the cost being doubled, and it's like, what's happening here, with this? So let's, all we're doing is discussing it as far as our recommendations, if this is something that we want to go forward with, or what's happening, why all of a sudden the double in cost. Again, so just a heads up, I assume you're welcome to join. It's just basically a meeting of mayors. It's nothing official like WUMA is. It's just discussions. We used to have that on a regular basis over a beer just to get to know what's going on in other communities. But we will probably, we'll have something to bring back to you guys if we come to anything, just to consider it stuff, where you guys are at on it. So other than that, I'll need a motion to move into closed session.
So moved.
So can you state the reasons?
You have to, yeah, you have to read
Move
that.
it into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A156 for review and approval of closed session minutes from the 7:30:20, the 8:11:20, 8:27:20, 9:08:20, and 10:13:20 meetings, and also to negotiate the amount of compensation and other material terms of an employment contract and to discuss personnel.
So moved.
There it is.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5 o'clock. Okay, ready? I'm gonna make a motion to come out of closed session into open session.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mayor Polino at 12:56 PM.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to allow me to finish conducting the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And the motion
I'd
to
like to
approve
make a
it.
motion to go back into closed session.
You wanna go and approve the minutes?
Hold on.
No, not yet, because we haven't talked about him.
Yeah.
Because his vote doesn't
Do you
matter.
want me the ability to call me up if you had to, if there's a time? I don't think there's gonna be an issue, so.
If we need you, we'll call you.
All right.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to move back into closed session.
Ready?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is it recording now? Is it moving? Yes. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to move into open session.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the closed session meeting minutes from 7:30:20, 8:11:20, 8:27:20, 9:08:20, and 10:13:20.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. In regards to the compensation changes, I need a motion to direct our administrator to adjust salaries in accordance with the closed session discussion.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. In addition to, or in reference to discussion of personnel, I would like to make a motion to direct the administrator to post a position for a part-time planning technician and do some additional research on that.
So moved.
Budget amendment.
Oh, and do a budget amendment for that.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And I need a motion to enter into the code enforcement services agreement with Centralina as presented,
So move.
and a budget amendment,
Yeah, we'll need a budget amendment.
and do a budget amendment.
Did you approve the minutes?
So move.
Further discussion? All's in favor? Aye, motion passes. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Bye, Bob.
Bye. Thanks.